What's going on, my fellow A-plussers? It's your host, Adam Perez, back once again with another live episode of A-Plus Hero Report, your weekly stop for your Marvel, DC television, and movie news, streaming live for you guys over on YouTube. You can also check this streaming out live over on Facebook, as well as Twitch for you gamers out there, guys. So wherever you're certainly watching us from, thank you so much for certainly checking this out. And if you're listening to us on our Spotify episode of A-Plus Hero Report, thank you guys so much for certainly tuning in. I know it's not the same as joining us live on video. If you guys haven't, if you're checking us out over on Spotify, check us out over on YouTube also, guys, if you want to go ahead and see us. But over on Spotify, we currently are dropping audio and video of A-Plus Hero Report, usually same evening or next day. So if you want to go ahead and follow us on Spotify as well, there is a link in the description box below, guys. But happy Sunday evening. Officially wrapping up your weekend certainly the right way. Going up against some stiff competition tonight. We got AEW. I think they've got a pay-per-view event or like some sort of big event certainly going on. I got The Last of Us certainly competing with me also here today on Sunday. So duking it out for some top ratings here at A-Plus Hero Report. So listen, guys, if you are in the live chat, do me a big favor, or even on Facebook, hit that like button, man. It definitely does go a long way. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and certainly do so. Today's episode is going to be pretty chill, pretty laid back, because guess what? I'm rolling solo dolo today. It is just me. It is just this handsome face you'll be seeing for the next 3 hours of this particular show. We got some honorable mentions for you guys, some main topics, 6 main topics that we're going to be getting into, and then of course your live viewer questions, guys. So should definitely be a pretty good time. We've got some big changes happening here at A-Plus Hero Report that I'm certainly thankful for. We are officially monetized. That's right. Not only on Facebook, but now officially over on YouTube, guys. So thank you very much for everybody's support, for all the hours that you've watched our channel, for subscribing to our channel. It has certainly gotten us to this particular point. So it certainly is very much appreciated, guys. But listen, if you want to continue to support the channel in other ways, now that we are monetized, you can certainly go ahead and do so. If you're over on Facebook, not just the like button, but there should be a star button as well. You can go ahead and support the channel by sending us some stars if you're over on Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, we got some new features in that live chat for you guys. We got super images, if I'm not mistaken, or super stickers. You can post some stickers if you want to go ahead and support the channel. There's a super chat as well. If you go ahead and support the channel via a super chat, your comment will definitely be answered and discussed on air for sure. Pretty much we'll drop everything that we're currently doing to go ahead and certainly address your question. So if you want to make sure that your comment or question does get answered or viewed on air here at A-Plus Hero Report, certainly go ahead and send us a super chat. And really, by doing that, by supporting the channel, it does allow A-Plus Hero Report not only to continue to grow, but really help us with upgrading our equipment, whether that be microphones, whether that be web cameras, giving us the opportunity to provide coverage for you at upcoming conventions, right? The ability to travel a little bit more, bring you guys new highlights, maybe unedited panels and things like that, right? So we're always looking here to go ahead and continue to grow as a channel. And if, we get enough support, maybe we can bring in more people to certainly help out with all the work that we certainly have here, guys. So any support is certainly appreciated. So definitely go ahead and send over your super chats or your stars whenever you feel like supporting the channel. But let's see who is in the live chat with us today. We got Enrique Perez certainly coming through. We got Adam Perea in the house. Good old Kurt Marino. Stewart is certainly here with us. Abase is here as well. Good old Francois. The most talented man alive is here. Jack Daniels, because it's 5 o'clock somewhere, as always. Good old Carlo Bernardo. What's going on, man? We got Marcelino in the house as well. Carter Matthews is joining us. Good old AJ certainly coming through with Dino Knights Fight for Your Rights. We got Nicole Robertson in the house, followed by Roberto Buena. Morgan Hutchinson continues to show her support every week. We got Blossom in the house here, along with good old Ram Jam, as well as Johnny Marrero. Thank you very much, guys, for certainly joining us here. What did you say earlier, Enrique? You said, "Hey, Adam, I just saw the first look from Dungeons and Dragons, the 2023 film. The cast revealed for the TMNT Mayhem at the Kid Choice Awards. And Dwayne Johnson wins movie actor for Black Adam. Oh, Jesus. Look, they're kids. They have no they have no sense of what's good out there. It's just whatever sparkles in front of their face. They're like, yeah, I want more of it. Dwayne Johnson, movie actor for Black Adam. I'm kind of curious who the other nominees were. Let me know who the other nominees were, Enrique. Give me a second, guys. Hold on one moment. Sorry, I had to turn on my fan. It's a little warm in here today. I just put on my blazer today to kind of look semi-professional. You know what I mean? But other than that, it's pretty hot out here. Dungeons and Dragons, a first look. That's pretty cool. I didn't get a chance to see the first look, but I've loved every trailer that I've certainly have seen so far for Dungeons and Dragons. It looks like a really, really fun ride with some great humor, great special effects, and just some solid, enjoyable actors. So I think Dungeons and Dragons will certainly surprise some people, and I hope it's a really big win for Hasbro, to be perfectly honest with you guys. All right, let's go ahead and get these honorable mentions out of the way, shall we? First honorable mention, I definitely want to talk about some casting news for you guys, because I believe it was last week, me and Stuart talked about the upcoming Hellboy reboot, the fact that they were going to be taking another stab at the Hellboy character, despite the box office flop that the David Harbour Hellboy certainly was. I've heard great things about David Harbour as Hellboy. It's just the Hellboy movie itself, I heard, sucked tremendously. And so I personally myself have not had the opportunity to see it. I do believe it is currently on streaming services. It is on a watch list for me. So while I haven't seen the most recent Hellboy, we do have another Hellboy reboot that is on the way. And as of this week, they have officially cast their Hellboy. This is Deadpool 2 star Jack Kesey is set to go ahead and be cast as Hellboy in the reboot The Crooked Man. So congrats to Jack here for landing this particular role. Again, Deadpool 2 is another film that I unfortunately slept on. Have not had the opportunity to check out Deadpool 2 as of yet, even though I really wanted to see Cable in that particular film. So I'm not exactly sure who he plays in Hellboy 2, or excuse me, in Deadpool 2. But whatever he's doing out there definitely has garnered some attention, caught some eyes, and I think he's going to be the next Hellboy. So we do have some casting news in that regards. Most talented man in the world. No, I got you. I got you, most talented man in the world. Let's see here. Who else what other honorable mentions we got? Oh, from Hellboy casting to some DC casting, the Penguin is back in the news, as we've got Clancy Brown has officially been cast as Salvatore Moroni, another mob boss here, to go ahead and be a part of the Matt Reeves sort of Batman crime saga that he's building sort of in his own DC Elseworlds world. I'm a big fan of Clancy Brown. I feel like I've seen him, especially sort of like as a supporting character, in some really great shows, and he always delivers. I mean, you already got Colin Farrell in here as the Penguin, and now you want to include Salvatore Moroni, or Clancy Brown as Salvatore Moroni. I think it's a great casting choice in here, and honestly, I was already looking forward towards the Penguin series, but this casting announcement in and of itself has me even more hyped. I'm really gonna have to do my best to kind of keep the hype machine controlled for me when it comes to the Matt Reeves world. I'm just really fascinated as to what he's growing out there. And now that this Penguin series is going to be taking place after the Batman world, I am really curious to kind of see what the Gotham City underground world is certainly like right now, and how all the pieces are moving, especially since we just had a massive a death at the end of the Batman in regards to who's really been kind of pulling the strings this whole entire time. So there is a shift of power that's certainly happening, and the Penguin will definitely be focusing on that. So Clancy Brown picked up as Salvatore Moroni. I think a fantastic choice, if you ask me. Um, Marcelino says, "You're bad at trying to watch movies you want to watch but never get around to it." Listen, man, I don't know if it's fatherhood or what has happened to me, but I used to be able to stay up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. watching movies and then going to sleep. But now that I have a kid, I put him down about 8:30, 9 o'clock some nights. And I tell you, man, by the time it's midnight, I am just exhausted. I mean, if I can keep my eyes open past midnight, that's an accomplishment for me. Like, there are countless movies me and my girlfriend have started, and 5 minutes in, she'll look over me and I'm like just out, just absolutely out. Don't matter where I'm sitting, I'm out. So it's just gotten really hard, I think, since fatherhood, being able to stay awake a little bit longer. Or, listen, guys, I'm 40 years old, man. The body don't react like it certainly used to. You know what I mean? So I'm trying, Marcelino. I'm trying, I promise. Let's see here. Enrique, thank you for the layup. Hey, did you check out the poster for Peter Pan and Wendy? In fact, I did. So thank you very much for laying that up for me, Enrique. I was like, what honorable mention am I going to get to next? But we wind up getting ourselves a trailer here for Peter Pan and Wendy. It's a brand new movie from Disney that's going to be dropping on Disney Plus, as you can see from this poster, April 28th. Listen, growing up as a kid, I did find myself sort of as a Peter Pan fan, whether that be from animation, whether that be like a Peter Pan like animated series or whatever the case may be. I used to be a huge fan of the movie Hook with Robin Williams. Absolutely loved it. But ever since then, it is one of those things where I've had a really difficult time of finding a really enjoyable and good Peter Pan movie. There's just always something about the storyline of Peter Pan that I've always kind of appreciated, the concept of really never wanting to grow up. I've been a sucker for always wanting to have flown at some point in time as a kid, right? So, like, Peter Pan for me is like something that I personally would have loved to have had the opportunity to be, whether that be Peter Pan, one of the Lost Boys. I've always been a fan of just the story itself. And so the fact that we wind up having ourselves a new Peter Pan movie has made me a little bit worried. But also, after seeing the trailer itself, probably reassures me that it feels, I should say, it feels like this might be one of the better Peter Pan movies that we've had in a really long time. I believe that there are probably some people out there that have never even seen Hook, or maybe not even the biggest fan of Hook. But for me, I just think it's a perfect Peter Pan tale, and I've always been a really big fan of it. So, not to say that I think Peter Pan and Wendy will, by any stretch of the imagination, surpass that for me. But if I'm just looking for a really solid and enjoyable movie, just checking out this trailer alone that they wind up dropping this week does have my attention. It looks very cinematic. It looks like they've put a lot of money and budget towards this. Cinematography wise, it looks pretty on point. I am kind of curious as to who some of these actors are. I believe the gentleman playing Hook is actually Jude Law, if I'm not mistaken. I barely was able to recognize him from some of the makeup, but I do believe it's Jude Law. If it's not Jude Law, please let me know in the comment section box below, but I'm pretty sure that it is. But it looks good from the first trailer. It looks pretty good, to the point to where, I honestly am surprised that it's being released on Disney Plus and not in theaters. Maybe Bob Iger and them know something that we don't, right? Like, maybe visually it looks great, but maybe the story certainly isn't there. But who knows? I'm going to keep my fingers crossed, because I do want this movie to certainly be successful. They also did go ahead and drop some brand new photos, also, I believe, of the actress that's going to be playing Tinkerbell in the upcoming film. So we do have Tink in here. She loves her some Peter Pan. So it should be interesting to see what her relationship is going to be like when it comes to Peter, and especially even with Wendy, if there's going to be sort of like any animosity between the two, because Tinkerbell's always been pretty protective of Peter over the years. Blossom says Peter Pan is my favorite. Take it from a chick who never wanted to grow up. Yeah, and I feel like it's one of those things too. I'm like, if you were a kid at one point in time, never wanting to grow up, or never looked at the idea of like, man, I can't wait to be an adult. I think Peter Pan is probably right up your alley. It was always a fun story for me personally. But if you haven't had the opportunity to check out the trailer for Peter Pan and Wendy, please go ahead and do so. I think it's got like over 2 million views already over on YouTube, but I went ahead and checked that out a few more times earlier today. Last but not least, for the honorable mentions, guys, I know why some of you guys are here. Power Rangers, man. Power Ranger news dropped this week. I feel like, look, this probably isn't even all of the Power Ranger news that wind up dropping, but we did have some information coming out from the Illuminati in regards to Cosmic Fury. It is an exclusive report. This might be kind of spoilerish for some people, so listen. Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. I'll go ahead and put this up for you guys when I'm done with the article. I'll go like this again so you can come back if you want to mute me for right now. But let's go ahead and dive into this spoiler information here from Cosmic Fury. I don't know if it's necessarily, well, I guess it might be kind of spoilerish. When it comes to Illuminati, you can never tell these days. So let's go ahead and dive into this article, shall we? Says, it's an exclusive. It says, a Ranger will join the villains in the highly anticipated 30th season. And this is an exclusive article from the Illuminati saying here, Ollie, the former Dino Fury Blue Ranger and current Blue Cosmic Fury Ranger, will defect from the Rangers at some point in time in Cosmic Fury and join Lord Zed in his quest to defeat the Power Rangers once and for all. We do not wish to reveal specific plot details. However, we do know that Ollie, played by Kai Moya, will be the primary antagonist throughout this season. That's fascinating to me. Whether this is a choice of his own or if he is to be brainwashed by one of the villains is yet to be revealed. We have already been given a few clues to Ollie's turn to the villain's side in the upcoming 30th season of Power Rangers. The first was when he literally teamed up with Lord Zed and Dino Fury. Sure, he was brainwashed by Zed. However, this very well could happen again in Cosmic Fury, just for a longer period of time. So another clue was his pretty menacing look in his Cosmic Fury press photos. Of course, this is just how he was posed in a photo, so it could really mean anything, although it seems to line up pretty well with this information. I am kind of curious also if maybe that's why he's either missing from this photo or maybe why we're possibly getting ourselves an Orange Ranger in Fern to kind of maybe replace the Ranger that they kind of lost here. So they are hinting that we could have ourselves a turn. I do recall the episode in which Lord Zed did utilize Ollie as his sidekick, or at least to get what he certainly needed out of the Rangers for that particular episode. Interesting that they decided to go ahead and possibly use him again as an antagonist for at least throughout the season. Listen, there's a part of me that kind of doesn't want him to be brainwashed again. And I don't only say that because it's like we're pulling the same trigger that we just did in Dino Fury one more time. Maybe he's more susceptible again to the brainwashing scheme. The idea of brainwashing again is just, well, look, could it happen? Yeah, it could definitely be brainwashing for sure. Lord Zed could easily just been like, hey, look, I've done this once to this guy. He seems like he's absent-minded enough. Maybe I can get him again. And maybe he attempts to try and get Ollie once again, one more time. So maybe that's the route that they go. But I'm kind of hoping that they don't rehash the same thing that they just did in Dino Fury, and that's something relatively insane, like the idea of Ollie actually becoming a bad guy. I don't know what would have turned him to that side, but we'll have to see again if it's something that Ollie does in his own free will or if it's another brainwashing scheme. It just feels like, man, like do we have to go down that brainwashing aspect again? Like there's no other way to make it happen. So to get to that point that we need Ollie to be in when it comes to antagonists. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how that winds up turning out. But I do think Kai Moya in general as an actor does probably make a pretty good villain. I mean, he definitely came across as a douchebag, right? Like he definitely came across as a little bit of a dick from time to time in Dino Fury. So if there's anybody that can really carry over that animosity and attitude and just cockiness, right? Like it's the Ollie character. Like him and Izzy, I think would make two great characters that I can easily see going from protagonist to antagonist. So we'll see how that winds up turning out. But I thought that was some pretty interesting information from the Illuminati, and it kind of goes in line with what I've heard from Kai himself, along with Javi or Chance Perez. I think they did an interview together to go ahead and promote Cosmic Fury when it was originally announced. And I think one of the things that Kai said was that us as viewers would be really surprised as to some of the character turns, along with, or I think he said the character changes in the upcoming season. So I think it would not surprise me if that's what he was certainly talking about, because I do think there's going to be a lot of character changes in here. I mean, we kind of see it already from just the set photos. Like Javi might at some point in time lose his arm or break his arm or whatever the case may be. So a lot of changes definitely happening when it comes to Power Rangers and Cosmic Fury. So yeah, guys, those are in fact our honorable mentions. If I had to throw another quick honorable mention in there, the now current Super Sentai season King Ozier has in fact been released. If anything, I might try and see if I can find an episode 1 in English subs. If I can, I might just do an episode 1 review at some point in time. Everything that I've seen from it so far has looked great. And the people that have checked it out so far, hearing some really great things in regards to it. So Super Sentai King Ozier, currently out right now. Go ahead and check it out if you have not done so. And spoilers are done. Spoilers are done, guys. So everybody's welcome to come back. I think it's time now, though, to get into some of our main topics. So let's go ahead and get into this, man. It should be a good show. We got ourselves 6 main topics that we're going to dive into. Dino Nice says, is the chat working? Yeah, it's working. Dino Nice says, Tommy was brainwashed more than once, so why not? I get it, but it's just a tired trope at this point. You know, it's like, what do we need to do? Brainwash. Like it happens all the time, guys. Like I wish that there was another way to get that character to that point. So I hope they don't rely once again on brainwashing. But again, it is like, you know, let's have something crazy happen here. And he's like, look, I'm tired of dating you, Amelia. I know I wanted you so badly, girl, but you're annoying as F right now. I'm done with your ass. And then maybe he turns on the Rangers. Maybe he learns something about the Rangers. So yeah, grass ain't always greener on the other side. Now that he got that girl, she's probably like, oh, now she's the Red Ranger. She's getting a promotion before me, bro. Maybe that's why he's mad. Let's see here. Adam, he says, this is why I'm excited for Cosmic Fury will be new and original aside from the Zords. Yeah, man, it's gonna be pretty intense. It's gonna be pretty intense. All right, guys. With that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into our main topic. As you guys saw on the thumbnail, we're going to be getting into our MCU bag. Because despite how people have certainly felt about Marvel's Phase 4, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, like a lot of you, that Phase 5 and the upcoming Phase 6 is a different story. Not different story in the sense of the multiverse saga, but different in the sense of making corrections, understanding the idea of maybe not giving us so much content, maybe dwindling it down a little bit to really focus on the quality of the television series and movies certainly going forward. Listen, if there's anybody that I trust that's capable of doing that, it's the MCU and Kevin Feige. They gave us 3 incredible phases for the Infinity Saga, have done something that nobody in cinematic history has ever done before. I think they can certainly make course corrections and certainly take us into a different trajectory. And so I'm keeping my fingers crossed for that. And so when it comes to Phase 5 and 6, I'm still on board. I'm still very much looking forward to the content that they're set to drop. But one of the characters that I'm really looking forward to and kind of curious as to when am I going to see this dude again? It's probably Shang-Chi. And earlier this week, Simu Liu, who plays the character Shang-Chi, came out and spoke with people.com, or is it People's Magazine? What is it? What is this? People.com. And mentioned the idea that we may see Shang-Chi sooner than I think a lot of us believe. So let's go ahead and pull this up here. This is again from people.com. This is Simu. Sorry, I'm doing everything here by myself today, so trying to get all the banners and everything up. But this is from Simu Liu. He says teases that Shang-Chi will team up with other Marvel superheroes sooner than you think. Why can't you wear a shirt, bro? Simu is teasing that he will cross paths with other Marvel actors on screen in the near future. The Shang-Chi actor, 33, chatted with people at the Academy of Motion Arts and Science Sci-Tech Awards on Friday evening, where he said that another Marvel superhero film is on the horizon that will feature his character interacting with other big comic book stars. He says, I'm such a big fan of both the characters and the performers that play them. So any collaboration is an opportunity for me to work alongside someone who, in their own way, is breaking barriers and at the very top of their game. He says, I think that's what excites me the most as a performer and also as a fan. And who knows? They might see something sooner than you think. He teased a future superhero team up. We'll see. So yeah, it says though there has been no official news from Disney or Marvel on the Shang-Chi sequel, Simu currently has a much anticipated appearance in Barbie, which comes out later this year to look forward to. And yeah, I am actually looking forward to the Barbie movie, believe it or not. I am interested in a lot of the actors that are certainly in there, and I want to know, how do you pull off a Barbie movie? So I definitely will be checking out Simu in that film later on this year. But it did get me wondering the idea as to not only what other characters is he talking about, but where exactly will Shang-Chi sort of pop up? When he talks about the idea in here of, he wants to work with people that in their own way are breaking barriers and at the very top of their game. And I don't know why the first person that comes to mind for me is Jonathan Majors. I feel like Jonathan Majors is honestly always at the top of his game, and always kind of breaking barriers in some sort of way. So, while I'm sure he means several different people, I don't know why, but Jonathan Majors just kind of came to mind for me immediately. Even though we didn't see Shang-Chi in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, I think it should be pretty fun for us to kind of speculate as to where Shang-Chi could possibly be popping up next, guys. So let's go ahead and dive into this and see what we certainly come up with. And I kind of want to know your guys' thoughts as to where you think Shang-Chi will certainly be at. I'm over on GameSpot.com right now. Actually, let me go ahead and pull up this. I'll go ahead and pull up this article here for you guys. Why not? And let's just see what the upcoming slate is kind of looking like for us, and where we think he could possibly pop up at. Let's see here. So we already went over the holiday special. We don't even know where What If season 2 is at. Secret Invasion has got pushed. Let's see. Secret Invasion, can Shang-Chi pop up in Secret Invasion? And when I think of this stuff, I think of like just not only main character, not even main character, but supporting character for a film, or even a supporting character in a series, even like a cameo, whether that be a brief cameo in the film or in a post-credit sequence. I think we got to take that certainly into account also. If there is any place I can kind of see him, Secret Invasion doesn't seem too far of a stretch, if you ask me. I do think that Secret Invasion certainly could have either a cameo from Shang-Chi in this particular series. So I do think, you know what? I'll put Secret Invasion on that list. Guardians of the Galaxy, no, I don't see him popping up in Guardians. The Echo series, that's been pushed down the line a little bit. I think Echo and Secret Invasion have both been pushed um on the release schedule. Let me see. Loki, I don't see him in Loki season 2. The Marvels. Could Shang-Chi pop up in the Marvels? I can see Shang-Chi popping up in the Marvels. In fact, I think if he's gonna pop up, you know what? I almost want to take Secret Invasion off because I think you could probably, like, by the time we get to Kang Dynasty and maybe Secret Wars, I think you could maybe at the most maybe have like two Shang-Chi appearances, maybe two Shang-Chi cameos, right? So I do think I gotta pick very carefully as to where I think he might pop up. So I'm actually going to take Secret Invasion off my list, but I will say the Marvels, and really the Marvels, really because of the gauntlets. And I do believe that there's probably a much bigger connection between the gauntlets and the rings that Shang-Chi certainly have. And if I'm not mistaken, I do believe at the end of Shang-Chi, there was a cameo by Captain Marvel also. So, and again, when he talks about the idea in his interview, people that are breaking barriers and that are at the top of their game. I mean, goodness, I don't know what other barriers could possibly be broken by the cast that is the Marvels. Have you got Teneo, was it Tayana Paris, along with Brie Larson and Aman Vellani, and look, Aman is definitely at the top of her game when it comes to acting, and some people are really big fans of Brie Larson's acting from time to time. I I don't necessarily. I will say this when it comes to Brie Larson's acting. I don't know if I've seen her in the role that has completely floored me, in regards to just purely of her performance. So, look, if you guys know of a Brie Larson performance that you've been hella impressed with, please go ahead and send me the title of that film. I definitely want to go ahead and check it out for myself. So, I do think that there are possibly some Shang-Chi connections to the Marvels. So, I can easily see him popping up in maybe a cameo role, if anywhere. So, Marvels will be my number one, but I do think there's a possibility he could pop up someplace else. Ironheart, we don't know when Ironheart's gonna drop. That's definitely more neighborhood level character in here who is now getting herself a Tony Stark like armor sort of thing, right? Agatha Coven of Chaos. Maybe there's a possibility for that. Um, X-Men 97, who knows? Captain America New World Order. I think these next two films, Thunderbolts and Captain America New World Order, I think one of them I'm gonna be picking. Um, Man, Captain America New World Order or Thunderbolts. You know what? Give me Thunderbolts. Give me Thunderbolts here. Going again into the idea of breaking barriers at the very top of their game. He talks about the idea of teaming up with teases a future superhero team up sort of thing. I think Thunderbolts could be a possibility also. Not to say that he's going to be a part of Thunderbolts, but maybe he's a supporting character or a cameo in that particular film. So give me Thunderbolts. Just because we already have ourselves such a huge ensemble cast. If you're already dealing with that many characters, I can easily say, let's just slip in another one here briefly. Because I do think he might have a bigger impact in the Marvels and then maybe pop up again in Thunderbolts. So yeah, I think those will probably be my two choices there. Although, look, I don't think New World Order is a bad choice. I think that would be a great place for him to drop in at. Hell, I even think Daredevil Born Again as a television series might be an interesting one for him to pop up in also. Like, I would not mind getting an opportunity to see the ability of Matt Murdock facing off against somebody like Shang-Chi, even if it is just sort of practice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would love to see those two at some point in time. Have a fight on screen. Deadpool 3, no, I don't see Shang-Chi in there. And now it looks like, yeah, we're getting to the Avengers films. I don't see him. Clearly, I think he'll be in the Kang Dynasty. I don't see him popping up in Fantastic Four, and then of course we've got Secret Wars as well, and then he'll pop up in his own film, Shang-Chi. So I'm kind of curious, guys. Out of the titles that we have gone through here so far today, in regards to the possible return of Shang-Chi, where do you guys think he might pop up at? Let's see here. Marcelino says, I can see Shang-Chi in the Marvels because since they changed Miss Marvel Power Origin, I think they want to connect the two. Oh, that's a possibility for sure, Marcelino. So yeah, I'm right there with you. I don't know if it's because they changed their origin story, but I do believe that there certainly is a connection there for sure. Blossom says, Secret Wars. I haven't heard that story since 1994 animated series for Spider-Man. Yeah, they're doing a Avengers Secret Wars film. Let's see here. AJ says, check her movie Room. It was critical and box office success. She was given huge praise. I saw the film. You know what? Actually, I do believe I actually have seen that film. I think you're right. That's when she's like kidnapped, right? And she's trying to sort of escape the room. She's not sure exactly like where she's at, sort of thing. I want to say I did check that out. I feel like that's a lot. Or was that with her and her? Was it like her and her son were captured or kidnapped or something like that, and they were trying to escape? And I can't remember what it was, but I think I might be onto something there, AJ. So yeah, you're right. I do believe that is a film that I was kind of impressed with her by. So yeah, yeah. Thank you for letting me know that one. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts. Where do you think Shang-Chi will certainly be popping up at when it comes to the next installment of the MCU? What movie or television series do you think? Certainly let your thoughts be known in the live chat or the comment section box below. And Marcelino says, why can't I see AJ's comment in the live chat? I don't know. I'm not sure, Marcelino. Everything looks like it's working okay on my side. So I apologize about that. All right, guys, let's move on to our next main topic. We're going to stick in the world of Marvel, this time slash Sony, though, as we're going to be visiting a film by the name of Madam Web this week. Let me tell you something, man. When it comes to Madam Web, I want to get so incredibly excited for this film. I truly do. But with the previous Sony movies that have utilized the Spider-Man characters, I honestly have not been that impressed, man. Venom didn't care too much for. Venom 2, I thought it was maybe better than Venom 1, and that's saying something, and I still don't really like the movie itself. Morbius, I just couldn't even bring myself to finish it on like 2 different attempts. I have not been really pleased with what Sony has done when it comes to their Spider-Man characters. Not really looking forward to the Kraven the Hunter film that they certainly have working with Aaron Taylor Johnson. Although I will say, while I haven't necessarily been the biggest fan of Aaron Taylor Johnson, he did impress me in that new recent movie Bullet Train, I believe, with Brad Pitt. So if there is like a light at the end of the tunnel, that's like hope for what Kraven the Hunter can be, Aaron Taylor Johnson has brought me a little bit of hope from his most recent performance. Now, when it comes to Madam Web was always a film that I just thought to myself, how do you even make this into a movie? She's like an 80-year-old woman who can't move out of her bed, but yet has like these telekinesis powers or this ability to like go through the multiverse and, go through space and time, yada, yada, yada. How do you bring that to life? And so while I'm still patiently waiting for this particular film, some of the rumors and the information that has leaked out about Madam Web surprisingly has gotten me extremely excited. It sounds like it could potentially be a story about Peter's parents, May Parker, along with his father, as May Parker may in fact be pregnant with Peter Parker. And this is where it gets kind of crazy. Apparently, we've got somebody that might be coming after May Parker to go ahead and sort of kill her, to kind of kill Peter Parker before Peter Parker even becomes Peter Parker, thus killing Spider-Man, if you will. I think it's a pretty cool concept. It has that sort of like Terminator vibe to it, if you will, sending somebody back, whether that be through time or dimensions, in order to go ahead and kill May Parker as she's pregnant with Peter. I find it pretty intriguing, and some of the supporting cast members that we have in here look pretty fantastic themselves. All of them Spider women in their own right, sort of generational over the years. And so that leads us to our second topic here this week. As we have known that Sydney Sweeney, the actress Sydney Sweeney, was going to be in this movie, but nobody really knew who she was certainly going to play. Well, there are current reports out there, ladies and gentlemen, and this comes to us from comicbookresources.com, a report that Sydney Sweeney is playing Marvel's second Spider-Woman in the Madam Web movie. Growing up comic book wise, I didn't really know too much of the first Spider-Woman. I think I probably got into comics really when the second Spider-Woman, Julia Carpenter, sort of took the reins, because I remember that blue and white costume. I just found it extremely iconic, honestly. But this is, again, from CBR.com, letting us know that Sydney Sweeney is reportedly playing Julia Carpenter in the upcoming Sony Spider-Man film. It says Euphoria star Sydney Sweeney's character in the upcoming Spider-Man universe film has reportedly been revealed. According to a reliable industry insider, Jeff Snyder, Sweeney is portraying the second incarnation of Spider-Woman in Madam Web. It says Marvel Comics' second in continuity Spider-Woman was, of course, Julia Carpenter, who succeeded Jessica Drew. Julia's apparent involvement in Madam Web's film is especially noteworthy, seeing as how she is also the second and current Madam Web in the comics, having succeeded the late Cassandra Webb. It also goes on to say Madam Web is currently slated to release in theaters next February. The film stars Dakota Johnson as the clairvoyant herself in Madam Web, who's first appeared in 1980's Amazing Spider-Man 210. Let's see here. It says, up until now, it's been unclear which versions of Madam Web Johnson would be playing, Cassandra Webb or Julia Carpenter. However, if Sweeney is indeed playing Julia, as Snyder reports, it would seem to confirm that Johnson is playing Cassandra Webb. So yeah, it seems as though maybe Dakota Johnson is now officially playing Cassandra Webb. And now we've got Sydney Sweeney, who could be portraying the character in Julia Carpenter as Spider-Woman. I am really fascinated also in this regards to, some of the photos that I've seen, some of the set photos I've seen aren't really highlighting them so much as like full on costumes. I do wonder if they're kind of going as grounded as possible for this. And I'm kind of curious as to like how many people in this movie actually do have sort of a power set. Because again, from a lot of the behind the scenes photos that I have seen, I haven't really seen anybody in costumes outside of the villain themselves. So it's going to be interesting to see how Sony decides to adapt them. Are they going to go the extra length and actually give these women superhero costumes and say, hey, listen, they are already superheroes in this particular world? Or is this sort of random people coming together that just happen to be named these characters? And we kind of establish them that way without any real super abilities. That I certainly don't know, but I am kind of curious to see how this is definitely going to play itself out. I'm really doing my best, though, not to get too hyped. Everything that I've been reading so far in regards to Madam Web has had me thoroughly excited and anticipating this film. But knowing Sony's track record, I'm really just trying to keep my expectations to a minimum, honestly. But I'm thrilled that we're going to get ourselves a Spider Woman in this particular movie. Again, I think we're going to be getting a bunch of Spider Women of some sort in here, not just necessarily Cassandra Cain or Julia Carpenter. So keeping my fingers crossed that this is going to be one of the few Sony films that get me out of my seat and eager for a Spider-Man movie outside of what they've been able to do with the MCU when they collaborate. When it's Sony just by themselves, that's unfortunately when I feel like I worry the most. But I'm glad to see development is certainly coming through, and keeping my fingers crossed that this story does in fact pan out. I feel like Jeff Snyder as industry insider, I feel like he's actually been pretty good, pretty solid, and pretty reliable when it comes to the information that he certainly has. So if Jeff Snyder says it, it's definitely worth paying attention to. And so this hopefully gives us a little bit more clarity as to who some of these actors that are going to be in this movie could potentially be portraying. But yeah, guys, let me know your levels of excitement. You know, if you did follow this Spider-Woman character at all in Marvel, I'm kind of curious to know what you might have thought about the Julia Carpenter character. Again, she is the Spider Woman I very much grew up on in the comics during the 90s. Um, I knew of Jessica Drew. Like, I remember even growing up as a kid, the Spider Woman animated series or animated movies were very much Jessica Drew. And I do believe Jessica Drew most recently in Marvel Comics continued to be Spider Woman again at some point in time. So not sure exactly when Cassandra, or I should say Julian Carpenter, gave up being Spider Woman, because I believe now she's the current Madam Web, if I read that article correctly. So I'm not quite sure when she dropped Spider Woman and Jessica Drew picked it up again. But regardless, I'm really eager to kind of see what they do with a lot of these female superheroes, honestly. Hey, the girlfriend's on board. She says, "Cool. I love seeing her in Euphoria." Yeah, I remember you and your sister watching her a couple times on Euphoria. So I'm glad you're excited for it, babe. Let's see here. Blossom says, "I forgot that Madam Web is a clairvoyant lady. Yeah, she could definitely see the future and into different dimensions, if you will." All right, guys, with that out of the way, we will go ahead and jump over to our next topic. We're going to be diving from Marvel over to the world of DC. And this is a pretty interesting topic to certainly talk about because for several reasons, right? When it comes to the DC, it very much is sort of in flux right now. We do know that we've got James Gunn, who just last month or so revealed, well, I guess maybe 2 months, month and a half, or month and a half ago or so, revealed his chapter one slate, Gods and Monsters, for the upcoming DCU films. And nowhere on that list was there a Shazam movie to go ahead and complete a trilogy. And one of the questions that I have been asked several times since James Gunn's movie slate released, hell, even when David Zaslav took over HBO and Warner Brothers, and we knew that big changes were going to be coming. A lot of people asked me the question, Adam, is there even any point in me going to see the current DCU films that are slated to go ahead and release this year? And mind you, those films are Shazam, Fury of the Gods, which comes out this month. We've also got Blue Beetle, if I'm not mistaken, coming out this summer sometime. We also have Aquaman, and we've got The Flash that's set to go ahead and drop in the summer as well. So we've got 4 DCU films or DCEU films that are certainly set to drop. And a lot of people are asking, is it even worth checking it out? And listen, one of the things I feel like I'll always say is, definitely go ahead and certainly support the movies. I always think that there's certainly a reason to go ahead and check it out. And I do believe maybe at one point in time, I might have even said to myself, you know what, don't even worry about it. But I feel like the more and more I think about it, the idea of seeing these movies, I think truly will go a long way. And it's not just myself and some of you that might feel this way, but the Shazam director came out this week and made it an emphasis for people to go see this movie. Now, listen, anytime a director says that, he could just be wanting clearly his own film to certainly be successful, right? Anything to certainly save a movie from becoming a box office flop. But I also do think that there is something to what he is definitely saying here. Oh, I'll get back to you in a minute, AJ, here in your comments. But I thought this was pretty fascinating coming from the director himself, because I do think that he gives a pretty honest and legit answer as to why it's important. This is from Variety.com. It says Shazam director says Zachary Levi's superhero could survive the DC universe overhaul. The possibility for more is there. And one of the things that James Gunn has mentioned is a lot of these actors, listen, when it comes to Flashpoint, he has mentioned the Flash movie will change some things, not all things. James Gunn has also come across and seemed pretty open about the idea of some of these actors continuing to reprise their roles. Not all, but some. And so some people have been wondering, is Zachary Levi Shazam even in James Gunn's plans? And apparently the director certainly believes that the possibility for more is there. It says David Sandberg, the director of Shazam and its upcoming sequel, Shazam Fury of the Gods, told comic book movie fans on Twitter that the new regime at DC Studios does not necessarily signal the end of his Zachary Levi starring franchise. A Fury of the Gods was developed and filmed before James Gunn and Peter Safran took over DC Studios and overhauled the DC universe. The director says this. Hey, he says, "Hey, David, I don't feel." Oh, so okay. I'm sorry. It says, "Does Levi Shazam have a place in the new universe? It will depend on how Fury of the God performs at the box office," the director says. A Twitter user asked him this very question. He says, "Hey, David, I don't feel like watching the movie because of the drama happening around DC Studios." The Twitter user asked, "It is just killing the vibe of the film. There is a lot of uncertainty about DC's future. Just give us an answer whether Shazam will have a role in the future DCU." And David Sandberg answered, "He definitely won't if people don't go see the movie. What I've been told is that there is nothing in the Shazam films that contradict the future plans for DC. So the possibility for more Shazam is there. And if that's what you want, your best bet is to go see the film." So, and I think that speaks wonders not only for Shazam, but I also think for Blue Beetle, and I also think for Aquaman also. Although I am hearing some rumblings out there, and again, I don't know how true this is when it comes to Aquaman. Was it the Lost Kingdom or something like that? I can't remember what the name of the title is. But for Aquaman 2, I have been hearing that some early test screenings have been saying it's not that good of a film. That is pretty terrible. But then again, I feel like maybe a lot of people felt that way about the first Aquaman movie, like critics and things like that. But I was a really big fan of Aquaman too, so I don't necessarily know how I'm going to go ahead and take that rumor mill that's certainly going around about Aquaman 2 as of right now. But I do think if it's one of those things like, hey, look, I do want to see Shazam um, in the DCU. I do want to see Zachary Levi as Shazam a little bit more. If you like Jason Momoa as Aquaman, if you like Jolo Maraduena as the Blue Beetle, go and support those films. It seems very much as though James Gunn is open to the idea of keeping them around. James Gunn himself mentioned that Blue Beetle was certainly safe because of the fact that that film doesn't contradict anything that he's doing in his current DCU, isn't too connected or established to the previous regime either. So it feels very much like it's going to be its own standalone film. And I kind of get the feeling of that too from Shazam 2, Fury of the Gods, that it's going to be sort of its own standalone film, not really dependent on anything that came before it within the DCEU. So if they wanted to carry over the Shazam character, they easily could when it comes to James Gunn, James Gunn's DCU. But that character does not make it to that point if people don't go and support the film itself. Now, look, it is one of those things where it's like, look, if you like comic book movies, I always say go check out a comic book movie, continue to support that. Good comic book movies getting support then create and lift up other good comic book movies. So I definitely am a believer in going ahead and supporting these particular films if you want to see more of them. But look, I'm never going to tell you go support a film, especially if it's crappy, right? Like if I go and check out Shazam Fury of the Gods and this turns out to just be your generic comic book movie sort of thing, which is some of the vibes that I'm getting from the trailer themselves. As long as it's not, if it does tend up to end up being your generic superhero movie, then I'm probably not going to tell people go out and support this movie. But I myself am a huge Zachary Levi Shazam fan. I really am a big supporter of his in this particular role. I love what he does as the character. As the character. So I definitely will be going out to theaters to certainly go ahead and check this movie out for myself. But I do understand the idea that one, money does talk. If people come out to see this film, similar to how they came out and saw the first one, if it tends to be a success, and I do think Warner Brothers Discovery will be paying attention to that, along with David Zaslav, as well as Peter Gunn and James Gunn and Peter Safran. So I think David Sandberg does make a good point here in the sense that if you want to see these characters again, the only way it's going to happen if you go out and see these particular films. So if you've had an interest in it, please continue to have it interested in and don't allow the drama that is currently unfolding at DC Studios to take you away from enjoying what will hopefully be a legit film. Because look, again, I would like to see Zachary Levi return as his character. I think he's brilliant in this role as Shazam. And look, I love me some Jason Momoa as Aquaman also. So I definitely will be seeing all of these DCU films this summer and this year. But if I could be frank with you guys, I am really worried about these upcoming DCEU films simply because of the fact of what that Twitter user mentioned to David Sandberg. The drama, everything that's going on behind the scenes. I think you can still be a successful movie when it comes to appealing to the general audience that doesn't keep their nose on Twitter or doesn't follow all the news and information and drama that's certainly out there. I still do think if the movie is successful in its own right, the general public will certainly come out and see it. But there definitely is going to be a handful of fans out there that decide not to see it just because of everything that's going on, whether they're upset that the DCEU is sort of making changes, or if they're upset about some of the current drama that's been going on behind the scenes. There will be people that will literally review bomb this movie just because it's something that they don't want. And it does worry me in the sense that I feel like all these movies will get review bombed in some way or another, whether that be Shazam. I mean, look, if it's a bad film, it's a bad film, but I just think that there's already going to be a portion of people that will review bomb these movies, these last four movies, just because things are changing. And I do think that's a really tough spot to be in if you're Warner Brothers Discovery, right? Some of these movies could probably be really good, and some of them could be really bad. And you just hope that these review bombs don't sway the opinions of too many people from going out to seeing your movie. You really want good word of mouth. And that's really the key to being successful, I think, is just good word of mouth and people wanting to come out and see the movie and hopefully in repeat viewing. So we'll see what happens with these last four films, but I do think it's going to be an uphill battle for a lot of them. But again, if these are characters that you've been fond of, or you've been fond of the actors that portray these characters and you would like to see them in some iteration again, go support the film. So definitely always very important in that regards. So thank you very much for that, guys. What else are you guys saying over here? Marcelino says people say if the Batman can continue as Elseworlds, that means the Snyderverse can continue as Elseworlds as well. Your thoughts? No, no. No. Um, for me, my thing is the Batman was initially created to stand on its own. Um, the Snyderverse just has so much baggage in it, man. It just has so much baggage in it, and it just connects to the bigger world of things, you know? And honestly, like the Snyderverse just connected so much of what the current DCEU is as of right now, right? The Flash movie could come along, changes could happen, and you could say, hey, the Elseworld stuff for the Snyderverse is going to be a what if case. What if the Flashpoint never happened? And you can continue along with that if you want to. But I just feel like at the end of the day, now you're just asking for I just think more confusion, right? Because we're already going to be starting a Batman universe on its own that Matt Reeves is creating. So then you would want to go and create a Snyderverse Elseworlds that already has a Batman and a Superman. So that's a second, and that's already a second Batman that we're going to be having. And then you want to go and create a James Gunn DCU main timeline that's going to have now a third Batman for Brave and the Bold in there. It's just too much. And the idea that you're going to be having continuity from James Gunn's universe and then continuity from the Snyderverse also playing itself out. I just think it's too much. And I honestly think that a lot of people are just tired of the Snyderverse stuff. Like as much of a big fan of Snyderverse as Snyder as I was, it's complete for me. It's complete for me. I got my Justice League movie. You know, the top echelon of the Snyderverse is his director's cut of Justice League. That's where it should stop. You know, this man doesn't even, he's not even a part of the studio anymore. He's going on doing his own thing. The homeboy's made Rebel Moon. He's made a zombie movie sort of thing. No, like I'm as big of a fan of Henry Cavill and the Snyder world as anybody. I absolutely love what Snyder created, and I honestly wanted to see more. But realistically, the Zack Snyder Justice League was the end of his project. He's not coming back anymore. I'm over it. I'm personally over the Snyderverse talk, guys. I truly am. I've been hearing petitions, save the Snyderverse, Netflix, save this. No, 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 please. Just it's in the past. We haven't gotten anything good from Snyderverse in a minute. I'm over it. I'm ready to move on. I don't need an Elseworlds for Snyderverse. I want to move on to something new. And I'm sure there are going to be some fans that really want to see Snyderverse, and that's great. If you want to see Snyderverse stuff, guys, go check out Man of Steel again, rewatch Batman versus Superman, have a big couple tubs of popcorn, and sit down and watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. You got your Snyderverse. You got your Snyderverse. It's over. It's over. I'm sorry to be the person that's got to break the hearts of people. If I had tissues right now, I would put it through the screen for you. The Snyderverse is dead and done. Let's move on from there. So yeah, that's my feelings about it, Marcelino. I don't want Elseworld Snyderverse. If you're gonna do something like that, maybe give me a Kingdom Come movie that maybe comes from the Snyderverse, but a solo film. And that's it. I don't need anything else. I don't need a continued timeline from Snyderverse. I got the movie that I have been wanting to see. I think this Zack Snyder Justice League is top echelon when it comes to comic book movies of all time. That's all I need. So I'm sorry, Snyderverse fans. I'm sorry. That day's passed us a long time ago. Going back real quick though to the Spider-Man, Spider-Woman news. Dino Knights had to remind me of El Muerto, good old Bad Bunny movie. That's superhero luchador. Yeah, that's what Sony's trying to give us, y'all. Dino Knight says, speaking of Snyderverse, I watched the Snyder cut of Justice League months ago, and it was some of the best 4 hours ever. Wasn't it? It was just as great of a culmination. to a superhero movie I personally could have asked for in regards to following what he created from beginning to that movie. Is there plenty story certainly still left to go and be told? Yeah, the homeboy literally had plans for a Man of Steel 2 sequel and even a Justice League 2 movie as well. We're not going to get it, unfortunately. And that sucks because that's something that I definitely want to get, but this is way past this due date and we don't need to revisit it any longer. James Gunn is in charge. Let's give this man the opportunity to create what he wants to create. Zack Snyder had his chance. I thought he did a great job, but unfortunately, Warner Brothers reacted way too soon, put themselves in this debacle, and we are here because of them at this point in time. So let's move on from the Snyderverse. Let's get ourselves something new. And mind you, DCU is in a great place to strike right now. Marvel Cinematic Universe is not what it was. Is it still good and really enjoyable? Absolutely. But the greatness that was the MCU is definitely not there as much as it certainly used to. So if there is any opening, if there's any opening in that window for the DCU to strike and take advantage, now is the time. Unfortunately, we've got to go through 4 other movies before we get to James Gunn's DCU plans, and hopefully people will still be on board by that time. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. This is a great opportunity for them to strike. I'm hoping the Flash movie is a great film and winds up getting people excited. So we'll see where it goes from here. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts in regards to the possibility of Zachary Levi Shazam being in the DCU. Is that something you guys would like to see? Let me know. Um, Mikey says DC have the opportunity to kill the MCU momentum. I will say this: I don't know if they have the opportunity to kill the momentum. I do think the momentum is already dying on its own, but I do think that the Marvel has so many bullets still left in their gun that I do think that the momentum can still that the MCU can catch that momentum again and continue to build up. But I think, Mikey, for me at least, this is an opportunity for them to finally put their name into the conversation. You know what I mean? Before it was like MCU, DCU, they got a long way to go. They got a long way to go. But now it feels very much like we're on a different playing field now. Now it feels like there is room for 2 to actually be quite successful. And you're right, though. I will say the courses can certainly change. If James Gunn pulls this off, there could definitely be a huge sort of momentum swing for the DCU, while the MCU is certainly still trying to pick up their pieces and sort of gathering, right? Like this feels very much like a halftime for MCU. Like, all right, phase 4 is done with. You blow the whistle, halftime. Let's go back into the locker room. Let's try and figure out what adjustments certainly need to be made kind of going forward. And can we pull off sort of that last minute run towards the end of the third quarter and really push into the fourth quarter? That's where I feel like the MCU is at as of right now. Whereas DCU literally just came off of like a great sort of draft class. The management did a great job of drafting the right people, sort of thing, coming up with a game plan. And now we're headed into sort of like that new season where there's a lot of momentum, some really young stars, right? Really ready to go ahead and make a name and can really take their division by storm. That's the DCU as of right now compared to the MCU. And I think both are very dangerous. So I do think that there is a room for right now both of them to kind of be putting out great content and really make this a competition, unlike what it certainly did not used to be sort of years prior. Mikey says Marvel are afraid to make Elseworlds movie when DC isn't. I would agree with you there. I will agree with you there. Marvel is very fixated on everything's connected, right? Like it's got to be it's all got to be a part of this sort of thing, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I was bummed that Marvel sort of eliminated their um like other television shows that they used to have. Whether that be like Freeform or Disney, was it ABC Family or whatever. Like, I always love the idea of Marvel still putting out other content that necessarily wasn't connected to their bigger overall MCU, right? It allows them to be creative and to take stabs at doing things different with their characters. Whereas DC, I do think that Elseworlds will certainly need to, I do think Elseworlds will certainly be something that'll benefit DC. And I also appreciate the fact that James Gunn has mentioned that in order to make an Elseworlds movie or series, the bar for the writing quality has got to be astronomical. It's got to be worthy of being a DC Elseworlds title. And I think for me that's what excites me, is that James Gunn is showcasing the idea that when it comes to a great movie, story is king. And the fact that you're just not making random ass movies to certainly make them, that in order to make them, you're raising the stakes. That look, to be in the DCU already, you've got to have a great script, but if you want to be an Elseworlds movie, you got to bring your A++ game. And I appreciate the fact that James Gunn mentions that type of stuff. It gives me hope, Mikey, for sure. So I'm really looking forward to seeing DC finally maybe giving the MCU a run here. But we'll see what the next year and a half is kind of looking like when it comes to James Gunn. So we'll see what happens there. All right, guys, we're going to be moving out of the comic book world of things and come back down to earth, a little bit more grounded here with some TV and movie talk for you guys. Well, looking at the rest of this, probably all movie talk the rest of the time. So let's go ahead. Actually, you know what? I'm sorry. Movie and series. Yes, let's go ahead and dive into this. This is where I kind of wish that I had Stuart on board here this week, because he has seen the Dune movie and I have not. Marcelino, you mentioned movies on my watch list that I have not gotten to yet. Put Dune on that list. Put Dune on that list, please. I do apparently plan on watching this movie at some point in time. They are supposed to be giving us a second Dune film, but HBO and Warner Brothers have really wanted to expand upon this particular franchise, go a little bit deeper, if you will, maybe tackling some of the Dune novels that are definitely out there. Talk about the idea of just being just really growing a franchise, doing some world building, some lore here, if you will. Mikey agrees Dune is amazing. I definitely need to check it out for myself. But Warner Brothers decided to go ahead and continue to expand, and they wanted to create a series called Dune, the Sisterhood. And I do believe while a lot of people were certainly excited for this particular prequel series that's supposed to be taking place thousands and thousands of years before the Dune series, it unfortunately has seemed to have hit a bump in the road, ladies and gentlemen. This is like a pretty big bump, I personally think. Dune, the Sisterhood, the director, was that Johan Renck, and star Shirley Henderson exit the HBO series amid creative overhaul and production hiatus. I mean, this sounds like this prequel series is just stuck in the mud as of right now. No momentum. This is an exclusive here. It says HBO Max's Dune prequel TV series Long Journey to the Screen is taking another turn. Dune, the Sisterhood, which started production in late November, so mind you, it's already in production, is undergoing a creative shift, a director change, and a recasting. That's got to be like death of like triplet death or something. I don't even know what that would even be called, but that does not sound good at all. Chernobyl executive producer Johan Renck, who had signed on to direct the first 2 episodes, has exited the project. Search is underway for his replacement as production has been put on hold. Shirley Henderson, who had been tapped as one of the leads, is also leaving. So this isn't even like a supporting role. This is one of your main leads is leaving. Her role as Tula Harkonnen will be recast. That is in addition to creator Deanna Ademu John, the creator of the series, who had written the pilot script, stepping down as co-showrunner in the run-up to production, with veteran TV writer-producer becoming the sole showrunner of the legendary produced series. It says, as Dune, the Sisterhood has entered a pre-scheduled hiatus, there are some creative changes being made to the production in an effort to create the best series possible and stay true to the source material. So they're doing a rewrite also. It says Johan Rennick has completed his work on the series, and a new director will be brought in through mutual agreement. Johan is moving on to pursue other projects. Additionally, Shirley Henderson will be exiting the series and will no longer be playing Tula Harkonnen. The streamer had no further comment. According to sources, the 11th hour showrunner change put pressure on their team to make major rewrites on the fly as the series was beginning production in Budapest. Meanwhile, we hear Rank's auteur approach did not jibe with the streamer's vision for the series, and it was a departure from the look of Denis Villeneuve's films, which led to his departure. He has since deleted any Dune content from his Instagram account. It is unclear whether any of the footage he filmed will be used in this series, though it would be largely up to the new director when they came on board. We hear conflicting views on the current hiatus, while sources close to the production insist that there had always been plans to stop filming for the winter months, which would kind of go in line with what they just said as pre-scheduled production. It says others indicate that the production has been pushed by 7 months to give their team time to put their creative stamp by reworking the scripts as well as finding a new director. Yeesh. Yeesh. That's not a good sign, man. That is not a good sign for this Disney. Excuse me, for this Disney Plus. For this HBO Max series. I'm sorry, guys. I'm fumbling over my words today. Yeah, man, 7 months delay. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money that Warner Brothers Discovery is burning through in order to push this through. But again, this is one of those situations that kind of confuse me in a sense that I feel like whoever produced this and brought these people on board are doing their best Kathleen Kennedy impression. Like, you're hiring people that you think you're on board with and have the same vision with, and then you give them months to go ahead and create something, only to come to find out, hey, wait a minute, this is not what we kind of agreed on, what we talked about. It's one of those things where it's like, how much conversation beforehand have you had with these people before even getting to the stage of filming, right? Like, aren't there storyboards? Aren't there concept art out there for everybody to look around, give the thumbs up on, and be like, yes, the vision that we have for Dune, the Sisterhood, is the same vision you guys have. And you would think when they have that mutual agreement, they would shake hands, everybody would be on the same page. But you're literally letting letting these people direct and create and film all this stuff, only to be like, you know what? You're not really doing the Denis Villeneuve thing that we kind of wanted you to do, that we thought that you were going to do. This actually looks like nothing that we agreed upon, sort of thing. It has me scratching my head, man. It has me scratching my head because it just reminds me of Kathleen Kennedy and how she's kind of handled Lucasfilm when it comes to a lot of these Star Wars films. The idea of bringing people on board that you think have the same vision of you, but clearly they do not. And I think the idea of them now having to postpone filming for 7 months, God, that's going to be brutal. It is one of those things I hope that they can certainly rebound from. At this point, I just be like, oh, don't even use the footage. If that footage is not to your liking or does not meet what you have in mind, just don't even utilize it. But again, it's not my money, right? Like, it's easy for me to tell Warner Brothers Discovery how to certainly use their money, but they put a lot of money, I'm sure, behind getting everything ready, pre-production, right? Getting set pieces kind of drawn up and built and things like that. So to have that type of stuff just sitting by and not being utilized, if there's anything that refers to time as money, this is as good of an example as you will certainly find. So we'll see, man. We'll see how this turns out, but this is a very rocky start. I think they probably have time though, right? I mean, look, you got a Dune 2 film that's certainly coming out. Was that later on this year, perhaps, towards the end of the year? So, but what we might have to wait an additional year for more Dune content. I think fans for the most part would be okay with it, but you definitely have to make sure that you get your ducks in a row and really bring on the people that you want to put your vision that you have for this Dune series forward. And so hopefully they definitely find the right people, the right cast for that, and maybe when this series drops, it'll be so good we will honestly will even forget that there was this type of drama in the middle of filming. Let's see here. Marcelino says, Sisterhood was supposed to be my substitute for House of the Dragon, and depending on the financial success, be my substitute until we get Dune Messiah adaptation. Is that the title for the second movie, or is that like another novel that they are set to go ahead and try and adapt at some point in time? One thing I will credit for the Dune Sisterhood drama is that they want to be more faithful to the novel. Absolutely, right? And I have no problem with them doing this to make corrections to make it what they want. But, I got to criticize them a little bit for going so long and thinking that the people that they brought on board had their same vision as they did. Again, all this stuff I just think should be sat down and talked about, all the particulars as you're going through your contract negotiations, right? Your vision of what you want as a production company, this movie to look like. And you would hope that the person on the other side shares that same image and same vision as you, and would certainly shake on it in order to be like, all right, we have this mind meld now, right? And hopefully they would put their best foot forward. But so it always makes me laugh a little bit and giggle and scratch my head like, man, I can't believe that they dropped the ball in regards to this. But if it wasn't what they wanted, they have every right to certainly stop production and start over, right? Again, it's not my money, it's theirs. So however they certainly feel that they can use it, and hopefully the financial return for the success of maybe a Dune Sisterhood will certainly pay off. Marceline says Dune Messiah is a sequel to the original Dune novel, but not Dune Part 2. If it becomes a movie, it would technically be movie Dune 3. Okay, that makes sense. All right, guys. So yeah, let me know your thoughts. Were you excited for Dune the Sisterhood? If not, or even if you were, let me know your thoughts in the comment section box below as to what this certainly does for your excitement. Are you even more worried now? Do you feel more confident that they stopped it and they're going to really give their vision that they wanted all along? Definitely go ahead and let me know your guys' thoughts in the live chat or the comment section box below. Next topic, guys, another movie topic for you guys. We will actually, not this topic, but the next topic, we're probably going to end on some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles talk for you guys. But before we get into TMNT, let's get to Pokemon, shall we? Because Pokemon is back in the news, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen. The highly successful Detective Pikachu is, in fact, getting a second film. Did I just hear my cat? Hello, Mew Mew. Hello, Mew Mew. Do you hear her? Hi, Mew Mew. Come here. Come to Daddy. Come to Daddy. Have you made an appearance on camera before? I don't know. But this is Mew Mew. This is our cat. It was a stray that Cindy actually found. And she's a very sweet cat. I love her. I used to be a cat guy most of my life. But I've always wanted a dog. And I didn't get my first dog until I was like 28, until I actually moved out of the house and got my apartment. And that's how I got Gadget. But before then, I've always been a big sort of cat person, constantly lived around them all the time. We already got 5 dogs here. We had more dogs when I originally moved in. Cindy just likes her strays, man. She loves her strays. And she actually found Mew Mew as a kitten on the side of the road and brought her home. And so we've been raising her ever since she was just a few weeks old. Mwah. Here, let me let you out so you can get out, okay? Yeah, I know. Go ahead. It's a little cameo appearance from Mew Mew. All right, guys. So, Detective Pikachu is back in the news because it is a full go. They are doing their part in not only getting the script together, but also a director together, ladies and gentlemen, as we have an announcement as to who the director for this upcoming movie is certainly going to be. This comes to us from Deadline.com. Jonathan Kreisel to direct Pokemon Detective Pikachu sequel at Legendary. I was actually a really big fan of the first one. I love me some Justice Smith. Anytime he's on something, I'm definitely going to check it out. Another reason why I want to go ahead and see Dungeons and Dragons, although I wasn't the biggest fan of um, what was the other film that he popped up in? Was it Jurassic World? Was that Fallen Kingdom, the second one? I didn't really care for it so much, honestly. But I am eager to see if he'll certainly be back for a Detective Pikachu sequel. But this comes to us from Deadline that they have in fact found their director. And this is Jonathan Kreisel. This is an exclusive. It says Portlandia co-creator Jonathan Kreisel is in negotiations to direct Pokemon Detective Pikachu live action sequel based on the globally popular Pokemon franchise for Legendary Entertainment. Chris Galetta will write the script for the follow-up to the 2019 box office hit. The original pick was directed by Rob Letterman and starred Ryan Reynolds, Ken Watanabe, Justice Smith, and Catherine Newton. It was released by Warner Brothers and grossed more than $430 million at the box office. While no deals are done at this time and nothing is confirmed, insiders believe that Reynolds will have some part to play in the upcoming sequel. So it seems as though Ryan Reynolds could potentially certainly be back. I don't think I've ever seen Portlandia before. Have you guys checked out Portlandia before? If so, what have you guys thought of that series? But it looks as though Jonathan Kreisel is going to get that opportunity to go ahead and reprise his role. I didn't realize Detective Pikachu made that much money at the box office. And was that during the time of the pandemic? Like, man, honestly, um, the Detective Pikachu film was so enjoyable for me. The idea of it being released, a sequel being released in theaters now when everybody's going back to the movie theaters, man, I mean, 500, 600 something million dollars easy. I think I just think Pokemon is just that big of a franchise that I think even more people will certainly come out to the theaters if they're feeling just a little bit safer, to say the least. um Johnny, he says, I can't wait for Detective Pikachu 2. I love the first one and can't wait for the second one. Yeah, me either. I don't know exactly what the story is certainly going to be, but I do think, hey, if you can get yourself a returning Ryan Reynolds, maybe a returning Justice Smith, and you release this in theaters once again, I think they might have something big on their hands, guys. I think they might have something really fantastic. Marcelino says Detective Pikachu's my favorite video game movie, and I'm glad it's back. I hope to Pokemon from Gen 8 and 9 making an appearances in the movie. Definitely a possibility. But I'm eager for it too. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts as they have officially landed a director for the Pikachu sequel. It is coming, ladies and gentlemen. So definitely don't have to wait too long in that regards. All right. And last but not least, guys, we'll go ahead and end up on this note. This was news and information that was actually released yesterday. I was highly anticipating the release of the trailer as well last night. I did not know that they were going to be holding off the trailer for the general public until tomorrow. I don't believe that this trailer is going to be dropping until tomorrow, but that is in fact the trailer for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's right, guys, because we have ourselves a new TMNT movie that's headed our way titled Mutant Mayhem. And earlier, as of yesterday, at the Kids' Choice Awards, Seth Rogen, who's actually doing this particular movie, came out and revealed the cast for us. Let me go ahead and actually take you to The Hollywood Reporter. This is where the article comes from, but you could probably find over on our Facebook page. We did released the announcement that Seth Rogen did over at the Kids Choice Awards on Nickelodeon. You can check that out for yourself over on our Facebook page if you haven't done so yet. But the Hollywood Reporter has put this into an article that Seth Rogen unveils the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem cast. It says Seth Rogen has found his heroes in a half shell. Rogen, who is producing the CG animated Ninja Turtles feature, unveiled his cast Saturday when he was flanked by the new Turtles at the Nickelodeon Movie Choice Awards. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to go ahead and pull up the names here. So if you guys want to see the cast, here it comes. We got as Leonardo, Nicholas Cantu. As Raphael, Brady Noon. As Donatello, Micah Abbey. We also got wait, where's Mikey? Mikey, I don't know why they do this to me, bro. Why does Ayo Idabiri as April? I don't know why StreamYard does this to me all the time. Like I literally will load images and they will literally take images down just so completely random. Like it's not, this photo's not even on my list, and I know for a fact that it was. So here we go. So after Donnie, we got Shimon Brown Jr. as Mikey. So that's our main cast. We got Nicholas Cantu as Leo, Brady Noon as Raphael, Micah Abbey as Donatello, and Shimon Brown as Mikey. And then last but not least, because you always need your mentor, Splinter, probably one of the best castings I've seen out of this. And I'm a big fan of a lot of these castings, but Jackie Chan, baby, as Splinter just honestly does it for me. If you guys have been following me here on Hero Report, I feel like I talk about Jackie Chan all the time. I love him as a martial artist. Anytime that there's a movie with a suggestion of like, what martial artist should we bring in for this role? Jackie Chan, baby. I don't care how old this man is. I love me some Jackie Chan. I think he's perfect, especially for a voice acting role as Splinter. He just brings that wise age and that wisdom about him. I really dig it. So yeah, continuing along though with the cast, Ayo Idabiri as April. We got Seth Rogen as good old Bebop. So Seth Rogen got to get in on this. This is his film. John Cena as Rocksteady, which should be pretty interesting to see. I can easily see John Cena taking up that role. We got Paul Rudd as Mondo Gecko. I used to be a big fan of Mondo Gecko in the animated series. I am kind of curious as to what my boy Jonathan thinks about this announcement. Jonathan was like literally the biggest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle fan that I personally know. So I am kind of curious to know what he would think. I'll have to reach out to him after this tonight or tomorrow and get his thoughts on the fan casting. Natasha Demetro as Wingnut. We got Hannibal Buress as Genghis Frog. I'm a big fan of Hannibal Buress. Rose Byrne as Leatherhead. What? They got Rose Byrne in here? That's pretty cool. Interesting choice of character for Rose to be playing. We got Maya Rudolph. I love Maya Rudolph. Was coming as Cynthia. What's that? Utrom? Cynthia Utrom? I'm not familiar with that character. Post Malone as Ray Fillet. That's the Stingray guy, huh? Post Malone is even in this movie. And of course, Giancarlo Esposito as Baxter Stockman. I think that's a great casting choice too for Baxter Stockman. I think those are probably my favorite. Baxter Stockman as Giancarlo Esposito. That's one of my favorites in here. John Cena as Rocksteady definitely has my eye. And Jackie Chan as Splinter, I think, are some of the better casting choices that we've had so far from Turtles Mutant Mayhem. What else does this article say, though? Does it give us any other? It says the film picks up as the Turtle brothers seek to win the hearts of New Yorkers by performing heroic acts they hope will get them accepted as normal teenagers. When they take on a mysterious crime syndicate with the help of a new friend, April O'Neil, they find themselves over their heads when a mutant army is unleashed. And I'm assuming I'm assuming that's why we've got so many damn casting announcements. I would assume that's the mutant army that they're certainly talking about. Let's see. It says we are beyond thrilled by this world class cast we've assembled to bring these iconic and beloved characters to life in a new chapter of TMNT universe. This really sets a new bar for this globally celebrated franchise, and we can't wait to show the audiences this film. They do have a release date of August 4th of this year, so definitely go ahead and check it out. And Jeff Rowe, known for The Mitchells versus the Machines, is directing this particular film. Interesting. I'm really eager to kind of see what the animation of this looks like. Did Seth Rogen write this also? I'm not seeing the name of a writer in this article, which kind of surprises me. Yeah, they don't name the writer of the film in this article, so I might have to look that up myself. But they did name the director. But yeah, guys, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. I am expecting a trailer here this Monday. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on it. And again, I am really fascinated to kind of see what um the animation is certainly gonna look like. I dig the idea of a CG animated film. I feel like didn't they just have one too recently, a few years back, a TMNT film that had like April O'Neil, Casey Jones, and things like that in it also. I think it was titled TMNT, if I'm not mistaken. I kind of dug the animation style and dug that film for what it was also. Like I do think that you can make a great TMNT animated film on par with something like Into the Spider-Verse if they really gave it their focus and their attention. I do think there's a lot of possibilities in regards to this one for sure. And I'm always down for another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. You know, I necessarily wasn't the biggest fan of the Michael Bay films. I'm still an OG Ninja Turtle fan, you know, from the original to Secrets of the Ooze, and pretty much grew up on the TMNT original like 90s cartoon. You know what I mean? Had a couple action figures here and there myself. So a lot of these names are super familiar just from my action figure days of having TMNT toys when I was growing up as a kid. But I am really interested to see what they do with this. I like, for me, you know, when they first originally announced Seth Rogen, I was like, oh, that's an interesting choice. But I do think that his type of humor, and just with all of his film experience, I do think he can really put together and make a great TMNT film. So I'm actually really looking forward to this one. I am curious as to where Krang and Shredder are in regards to this casting announcement. Is it Krang? Is it Shredder that unleashes this mutant army? And maybe that's where they kind of all come from. I have no idea, but I think that this can certainly be big. And it is one of those things that you got to kind of use animation to kind of do big, spectacular things that you can't really do in live action, or that are going to cost you millions of dollars to certainly do. So I can see this being a really big, bombastic, and crazy TMNT type of animated movie. And it definitely has me intrigued. So we'll see how I feel after seeing the first trailer, but I'm really hoping that we get one here relatively soon. Ram Jam says there's going to be another TMNT movie that will be exclusive to Paramount Plus after the Seth Rogen movie. Yeah, I think that's going to be more live action. I think that's a live action version that they're going to be going with in that regards. Johnny says, I saw the sneak peek. Oh, so they did show it during Kids Choice Awards. I wonder why I couldn't find it online, but I'll definitely have to try and look it up because I have not seen the sneak peek. So I've completely missed out on what the animation certainly looks like. So I'm definitely gonna have to do that for myself here after we get done. Um, Johnny says Brady Noon is from the Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Oh, is that the Mighty Ducks series that they have on Disney Plus as of right now? I didn't know if all these kids came from like Nickelodeon shows or Disney Plus shows or what. Johnny Morero says yes, Jackie Chan as Splinter is the highlight and most requested casting for Splinter ever. I can't wait to see Splinter in action. Really, I didn't know he was that highly requested for the role, but I'm glad that he's got it, man. Glad that he's got it. Johnny says, "Oh my God, I just realized Mondo, Ray Fillet, Wingnut, and Leatherhead will appear. Do you think it's possible they could be setting up a mighty Mutinos for the near future?" I mean, listen, if this movie does successful, who knows what Seth Rogen will certainly do. So I definitely a possibility for sure. What's up, Keita? Appreciate you coming though. She said it's on Twitter. I'll definitely go ahead and check it out. I missed it. I definitely missed it for sure. I thought they were going to be releasing like a full trailer tomorrow. Is there a full trailer tomorrow, or is it just a sneak peek? Is all that they're going to show? I thought Seth Rogen at Kids Choice Awards said tomorrow we're going to be showing you guys, or Monday we're going to be releasing the full trailer. So maybe the sneak peek was just a sneak peek, and we'll actually get something a little bit longer. But thank you for letting me know that. I'll definitely go ahead and check it out for sure. Ramjam says John Cena is the second wrestler to play Rocksteady. Who played Rocksteady the previous one? Was that Sheamus? Was that Sheamus that played Rocksteady? I thought Sheamus was cast in that Michael Bay movie, so maybe that was him. Because I'm thinking of Kevin Nash as Super Shredder and Secrets of the Ooze, but I know that's not who you're talking about. So I'm thinking maybe it was Sheamus. I thought I remember hearing Sheamus was cast in the Michael Bay film. Johnny Morero says, "I think Mutant Mayhem is going to set up spin-offs for other characters. I have a good feeling, Adam." Hey, you know what? You might be onto something, Johnny. I think it would be pretty cool. I think it's a really cool opportunity for them. Ram Jam says, "Yes, Sheamus." Okay, cool. So yeah, we'll see, Johnny. I love your hypeness, man. I can tell that you are a big TMNT fan, and are ready for anything involving the turtles. So give it to me, man. I absolutely want to see this animated one and anything live action related also. But yeah, guys, let me know your thoughts after seeing this particular cast, and if you did see the sneak peek, let me know what you guys thought of it so far. But I'm sure there's plenty more to come from Seth Rogen, especially as we near what was the release date? It said August 4th. So yeah, it'll be here before we know it, guys, honestly. But that will wrap up all of our main topics today, guys. So thank you everyone for certainly joining us here today, going through all those topics with us, man. But look, if you guys have been here long enough, you know what time it is. It's time for live viewer questions. And we are back, guys, with some live viewer questions for that ass tonight. So we're going to be getting into our bag and seeing what some of you guys are saying. Look, if you guys would like to ever submit a live viewer question, first and foremost, we usually post these either Wednesday or any day after Wednesday in the week. And once it's posted, you can go ahead and submit your questions over. But as always, just simply go over to our main YouTube page, A Plus Hero Report. Click on that community tab as you see there. And as you scroll down, there will usually be a live viewer questions post. Again, posted either on Wednesdays or after Wednesday. Submit your questions and we'll definitely get to them towards the end of A Plus Hero Report. Let me go ahead and scroll all the way down to the bottom. And I believe this is you, Jessica. Oh, we got people replying to stuff. Let's see here, Jessica. Would you like to see Trini's daughter take up her mom's powers in Once and Always? And how do you think Fern will get her orange ranger powers? Let's see. Yeah, I would like to see Trini take up the saber-tooth tiger powers for sure from her mom's power. Hopefully she'll get that power coin. Would love to see a brand new morphing sequence with Min as a saber-tooth tiger. I think that'd be incredible, honestly. So yes, I'm hoping that we will see that moment. And how do I think Fern will get a orange ranger? Excuse me, an orange ranger power? They'll probably be like, "Oh no, Ollie's turned on us. We need another ranger. Who should we get?" And then be like, Izzy's like, "I think I have somebody in mind." And Fern comes in from visiting from campus or something like that. And she's like, "Hey, what if I told you you could be a Power Ranger?" I don't know if that's how it's going to turn out, but maybe they need Fern to replace Ollie in the meantime until they can figure out a way to certainly get them back. It feels very much like a all hands on deck sort of situation. So wouldn't be surprised if that's why they're bringing her in, but who knows? I'm sure she's probably more than capable, right? Her, like Izzy, both very athletic and track stars in their own right. So very capable. Blossom, you remember the logo from Q Ranger? Not really. Q Ranger logo here. No. Ah, yes. I always dug that star. Yes. For the Galactic Council, it can be recolored in a rainbow gradient based on all the Ranger signature colors and almost galaxy-like. How's that? I kind of dig it. Do you think Cosmic Fury would use the Q Ranger morphers in their Q-Tamas? It's interesting. I saw, I don't know if this was photoshopped. It might have been photoshopped. I saw something on Twitter the other day of Amelia holding on to like the little globe thing as she was changing. It felt very much like the Dino Fury pose, the Dino Fury pose type of thing, but it had the little globe in her hand. So I don't know if somebody just photoshopped that. I assumed somebody photoshopped that, or if that's the morphers and stuff that they're kind of going with. I don't think that. I think they might give us original morphers and things like that, but who knows? I believe what I saw was just Photoshop. But if I'm incorrect, somebody let me know. Dino Knights. What do you think of the news by the Illuminati confirming that Ollie could be a villain in Cosmic Fury? That would be nuts. We know that he was mind controlled by Lord Zed in the season and was already an a-hole since season 1 towards Amelia. It'd be really cool if Ollie being evil again before a longer period of time. That's what it sounds like. That's what it seems emphasized from the Illuminati. That was going to be for majority of the season. Especially since he and Amelia are now a couple, it would be very interesting to see what happens to their relationship. Oh man, this already gives me chills. What are the chances that perhaps Ollie cuts off Javi's arm, since we know Chance's new Ranger suit has a robot? That would be crazy. That would be crazy to me. Like, would they really let something like that happen? I don't know. Like, it's already crazy for me to contemplate the idea of Javi losing his arm, even though I'm a believer that that's the case. It could just simply be broken, and that's like a support for his arm. You know what I mean? But like, it's already sort of outlandish and out there for Javi to even lose an arm, but then to have him lose an arm and then have Ollie be the one to have cut it off, that's bananas, bro. Now, I don't think they're gonna go that route. If they went that route, that would be ballsy. And I'd be like, thank you, Netflix, for allowing them to have that creative freedom to certainly do that. But that would be ballsy. I don't think that that's what's gonna go down, but it would be great in my eyes if you ask me. It would be crazy if Lord Zed threatened Ollie and Amelia, that Ollie had no choice but to join the dark side. That's a possibility too. Or maybe he was manipulated by Lord Zed, where he thinks the team kicked him out. I'm so excited to see what happens in Cosmic Fury. I even heard that maybe Ollie becomes the Dark Ranger when Heckle returns. Ooh, Heckle gets saved by Ollie, and the Dark Energem chooses him and uses Ollie's body as a host, similar to the Purple Ranger and Don Brothers, where anyone who picks up the sword becomes possessed. Yo, that would be bananas. I love where your head is at. Can somebody call AJ and have him join the writing team, please? He's got some dope ass ideas for Cosmic Fury. But I love the sound of it. And for me, it's one of those things like I'm kind of tired of brainwashing. So if you can get Ollie as an antagonist in some other way by either kidnapping Amelia, threatening Amelia, kidnapping Dr. Akana, threatening his mom to do his bidding, or she's gonna die, sort of thing, right? Like if you raise the stakes to kind of force Ollie to kind of do things against his will, man, that should be pretty interesting. And for me, it's even more interesting because they are a couple, Amelia and Ollie, like they just literally got together, being all goo goo gaga eyes over each other for like the last half of the season, to kind of see what that friction would then cause for their relationship, and the stake that it would certainly drive through it. That fascinates me. Why were Justice Society of America and Black Why were Justice Society of America and Black Adam only referred to as Justice Society? Maybe because they're more global and not necessarily just of America. I feel like I see that all the time, right? Like it changes in comic books also, right? Sometimes we get Justice League of America, sometimes we get just Justice League, names of titles and things like that. So I guess maybe just in that particular world, um, they are a team that responds to anything across the globe, not just necessarily a team for America. So I'm thinking maybe that's probably why Marcelino. But yeah, the Black Adam movie just didn't explain that, and I'm okay with them just being referred to as Justice Society. I feel like of America is just so old school, um, but it still carries its weight for sure. Carter Matthews, where were the Avengers during Spider-Man No Way Home? I think they could have helped with clearing Peter's name, but plot-wise, we wouldn't have been able to see the return of Andrew and Toby and all the other returning villains. I mean, Carter, I think that's almost a question you could probably put in any MCU movie, right? Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, um, I think any Shang-Chi, where were the Avengers? And so maybe they were off doing their own thing, or they might actually be disbanded at this point in time, if I'm not mistaken. Doctor Strange went on and mentioned that he wasn't a part of the Avengers anymore. I don't believe in his multiverse of madness. Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of been off doing their own thing also. So I just think it wouldn't surprise me if they just disbanded after Endgame, right? You beat the biggest foe humanly possible, and you're probably going out trying to help the world that just acquired half its population again after 5 years to try and sort of reacclimate, right? And get back up on its feet. So I can see a lot of these members kind of going off on their own kind of solo adventure. And unless sort of like a big universal threat kind of comes out, there's probably really no need for them to come together unless they absolutely need to. So with Spider-Man No Way Home, that's totally a Spider-Man story for sure. You definitely don't need Avengers in there. So I do think it's a couple things. I just think it's the idea of, they probably have disbanded since then, and I'm sure they'll be back together at some point in time. Let's see here. Carlo. Oh, wait, was there a second question to that? Yeah, sorry, Carter. Almost missed you. Today, Friday was the last day of filming for the Flash series, according to Candace Patton, who plays Iris West Allen. What were some of your favorite moments from this series that you still find amazing? Season 2 was always amazing to me. Season 1 and season 2 were always really amazing to me. I thought it was some of the best TV during that time period for sure. Um, the the Zoom storyline to me, I thought was just some of the best written stuff that they've done for the Flash in a long time. I always love the mystery of who was behind not only the Zoom mask, but also like you remember the mystery character that was in the other cell opposite, right, with the mask on, the man in the iron mask. Everybody was wondering who it was and things like that. So just really great tease and mystery. I mean, people were just hooked to that storyline for such a long time, and you had a really creepy and terrifying villain voiced by an amazing actor, like the Candyman actor. Was it Todd? I don't want to say Jason Todd. I know it's not Jason Todd. Damn it! Somebody tell me the guy's name from Candyman. Todd what? Let me kick myself in the ass when I remember his name. But yeah, it is and they are wrapping up filming. I've seen a couple of great photos of everybody hugging on set, saying farewell and stuff. But some other great moments, probably the crossover with was it Elseworlds? Elseworlds was pretty fun. I got a kick out of that one. Yeah, the Flash. I'm gonna miss the Flash, man. Any Cisco moments also with Barry. Cisco and Barry moments were always great to me. Tony Todd. Thank you. Thank you, Dino Knights. I was like, Todd. I just couldn't get the other T out. Carlo, the Master's Last Stand. This episode of Power Rangers Wild Force is one of the absolute favorites of Wild Force in the entire franchise. I really love that this was the episode where Cole found the truth behind his long lost parents' fate. Master Org was the one who murdered them. Seeing Master Org's backstory of when he used to be friends with Cole's parents and work with them as a scientist, him murdering them due to Cole's father taking credit for all of their work and marrying Cole's mother led him to a dark path by eating the seeds of the original Master Org when they found their remains during the exhibition. That's some cold shit, man. That's a cold move by Master Org. Very real life though. Cole finding out was a huge moment for him because he finally knew what happened to his parents. And when Master Orc told him to finish off after their battle, and Cole absorbing his powers with his battleizer, I love that Cole told him that revenge only leads you to being poisoned and a dark path. It is a path to the dark side. Master Org even taunting Cole that he enjoyed every minute of murdering his parents. Master Org really was one of the best villains in Power Rangers for being dark and twisted. I really love that Dino Fury in a way took inspiration from Wild Force when it came to Amelia searching for her parents while still being its own story. Him later being replaced by a new Org was the first time since MMPR where a new villain would take over after the former goes MIA. The transition of two different villains would later be brought back during the Neo Saban era in Dino Fury. How crazy is that? Master Org became a villain out of jealousy when Cole's father didn't respect him as a scientist and taking his chance of having a family with Cole's mother. Yeah, it's something that feels like it's written out of a fucking Dateline movie or Dateline series episode, you know? I mean, you want to talk about the idea of like murdering somebody in like an emotional like rage, you know, the idea of somebody um I mean, yeah, man, I feel like I hear that story all the time on like a 48 hours or like a Dateline episode. Um somebody not being respected or their credit being taken away from them so they murder them, right? Or they have their eyes on somebody's wife and that person marries somebody else and so they kill them because they want to be with them sort of. I mean, it's out of like a real world as you could possibly get when it comes to Master Org. So I think that's what makes it even more terrifying for me personally. Francois. Thought I asked this again for Stuart and Indy. Sorry, guys. They not here. They not here. Not sure if you guys may have talked about this, but what did you think of the new set photos of the series finale, the Flash showing the old villains? I think we talked about this a little bit last week, didn't we? This makes me so excited that we're getting four villains from each of the different seasons, along with a new one with Cobalt Blue. This does also make me wonder why Bloodwork isn't there unless he gets redeemed later on. We don't see Oliver, Diggle, and Wally on that. Didn't we just talk about this, Francois, last week? Unless it's completely different storyline for episode 9. It would be really epic if we had a chance for Team Flash to face off against old villains for the finale. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about this. Didn't we talk about that? I don't remember if that was you, Francois, that asked this question, but I feel like somebody last week asked this very same question. Um, I personally don't need Bloodwork to be there unless Bloodwork was a speedster. I don't know why he would be there. Godspeed, Reverse Flash, Avatar, Zoom, and Eddie Thawne and Cobalt Blue, all speedsters. There's no reason I think for Bloodwork to even be there because it is speedsters. Um, so I do think it is a speedster showdown. Like, look, I'm excited. I think the photos are great, but I don't have the most confidence in Wallace, Eric Wallace as a writer. And it's like unless these speedsters are really coming back at their full power capacity, then I'm interested. But there is just something here that just makes me think maybe Cobalt Blue is like the only powerful one here, and that Godspeed, Reverse Flash, Avatar, Zoom, Eddie Thawne, all of them are going to be nowhere near their power levels that we've seen them before in the previous seasons. And, you know, you're going to have somebody the likes of, I don't know, Chester just killing, like beating one of these guys with like relative ease. Um, I don't, I hope I'm proven wrong, but I feel like they're just there for show and will be taken down one at a time until Cobalt Blue is the last one standing, and then they take him out and it's over. So, I'm hoping this isn't just for show. I'm feeling it's more for show than it is for substance. But I have no problem in being wrong. So I'm hoping I'm wrong, Francois. Abase, Power Rangers leaks. Do you wish we could have less leaks when it comes to Cosmic Fury, Power Rangers news in general? I feel like while it's really cool that we're getting news, I do want Cosmic Fury itself to surprise us. We don't need confirmation for everything until Cosmic Fury is actually here. This does make Illuminati themselves look bad for always releasing unofficial confirmation of things when it comes to Power Rangers, causing fans to feel disappointed if that information doesn't come out to be true. So I do think they should try not publishing so much, or at least this early. We know Hasbro wants to reveal things too when the time is right. It is kind of a bummer when some fans already know certain things about by the time Hasbro themselves officially announces them and get upset if the actual presentation or the product doesn't turn out as they expected. In a way, it is also kind of fans' fault too for always reading unofficial information that they're not even supposed to know about. Despite how accurate and inaccurate leaks can be, they are fun to talk about because they do generate hype, making us excited for what's to come and help hold us over until the time is finally here. Anyways, with the news from the Illuminati that Nate won't be appearing in Cosmic Fury, since we know for a couple months that he was in New Zealand on vacation, which was a coincidence. Is there a chance that he could still pop up? You know what they say, I'll believe it when I see it. Yeah, I do think that there's still a chance that he pops up. Um, why are you in New Zealand, bruh? You want to visit your friends? Psh, man, if you're gonna visit your friends, you might as well put on a suit and get on set and perform some lines too. So I think he's in it. I do think he could pop up, even if he's not in full costume, maybe as a cameo. So I do think that there is something to it. I do think that he is there. I do think there's still a chance that he could pop up. But I would say, listen, before I say anything, let me just say, look, I'm a big fan of the Illuminatis. I love the Illuminatis. I think that they do a great job at what they do. Joe has a ton of experience taking that over from the hashtag show and bringing that over to the Illuminati. I'm a big fan of Jezer in his sarcastic ways. Like I really appreciate the hard work that those guys do. The sources that they have, the detective work that they do, the sleuthing to go ahead and bring us the information that they have. I appreciate it. I'm never gonna talk bad about it unless it's warranted. But I always respect those guys. Those guys certainly put in a lot of hard work. With that said, though, if there has been any complaint that I have had, and I've voiced this before, I said it on one of my Twitter comments. I think I might have even said it today on my Instagram talk, and maybe even in a previous video also. That might have been last week. I think I even talked about this last week with Stuart too. I just think that there are just some things of information you should just hold to yourself. Um, like last week was ridiculous, the amount of news that we had. Like I literally made a whole segment for last week's news that juggled like 3 or 4 different stories. And then this week we get 2 more stories, right? The Nate news and then the idea of Ollie. I don't know who's writing all these articles, if it's the same article or whatnot, but for me, and this is again, I'm not an editor of a big site like that. I don't get those resources and those sources like they do. But if I was in that particular position, if I knew that it's only me and maybe 1 or 2 other people that have this information, I'm holding on to this as long as I possibly can. And I only say that because, we are months out from Cosmic Fury. I would believe that Hasbro would prefer all the attention to currently be on the MMPR anniversary special that's set to hit Netflix in like a month. I would want all my marketing, I would want all my promoting focusing solely on that. And once that drops, then let's start ramping up the marketing and the promoting for Cosmic Fury. If the Illuminati had leaks or more information that they wanted to drop in regards to MMPR, I would be pretty open with that. I feel like they haven't necessarily given us too many details about what's happening with the MMPR special. I feel like they've been pretty quiet about it. And I really appreciate that because I kind of do feel like I'm going into the MMPR still surprised with not really sure how a lot of stuff is certainly going to be handled. But it is one of those things that's like, if you are going to talk about any project, the project that I think should be getting the most news and information about should be MMPR. Do I think we should know everything about MMPR? No. But I do think that there's some things you probably could or should reveal just to kind of hype and tease the fans a little bit, and maybe some things that you don't say. I think the fact that we've gotten literally 6 Cosmic Fury articles within the past week and a half, way too much, man. Way too much. And my thing is, I don't know who's beating you to the punch. Are you worried that like a Hasbro fan stream is going to come out and maybe they're going to reveal some information, some things like that? So maybe that's where like this urgency is all of a sudden coming from. Like we got to push this Cosmic Fury information out there into the world. I just think that's a mistake personally. I just think that this is one of those things like you got 6 topics. You can't release 2 at the end of April, 2 in May, 2 in June, or something along those lines. I just think all this information at once for me, and I'm gonna be honest, for me, it's kind of making me feel like I almost know what the is happening in Cosmic Fair. Like I just feel like there's just way too much information out there that even I probably shouldn't even know. Um, so I just think that they should be careful. I just think that they should be a little bit more careful in how they spread out this news. Again, if it's not a Deadline, if it's not Variety, if it's not Hollywood Reporter that's about to drop a huge article with reveals and revelations for Cosmic Fury here within the next month or so, I don't see why we can't wait to drop that information after MMPR. Even if they want to drop all 6 articles at once that they did in the past week and a half, that's fine. But I would just say do it after MMPR. That's really where my biggest complaint certainly comes from. And it does make me scratch my head as to where this urgency is from, because I just don't recall the Illuminati having done this before. You know, have they given us information and leaks in the past? Yeah, they certainly have. But with this type of momentum and this type of like boom one day, 2 days later, boom another day, boom another day, like that just seems odd to me. And it doesn't seem like it's their normal go-to. So I'm just trying to figure out where the urgency is to push this information out when we're literally like 6 months away, possibly from Cosmic Fury even dropping. It just, for me, it just feels like the attention is on the wrong project at this time. I feel like by the time Cosmic Fury comes here, if they continue at this pace, we're going to know the whole goddamn series. And I just think there is some responsibility maybe to fans to not over spoil them with stuff and to leave some things still to mystery and speculation. But again, who knows, maybe they're worried that somebody like Jin Saku, who's doing a great job, might leak some stuff too early, and so maybe they feel, hey, we got to get ahead of them, or we got to get ahead of these other people. But my thing is just pump the brakes a little bit. Just pump the brakes a little bit. 6 stories within the last week and a half, way too many if you ask me personally. The Cosmic Fury stuff should wait till after MMPR and space these articles out, guys. Space these articles out unless they know something that I don't and Hasbro or some other site is ready to go ahead and reveal that stuff. Otherwise, doing too much. Doing too much right now. But again, always appreciative of all the hard work that they do. And this is like the only time I've ever really talked out about them, just because of the fact that I don't feel like I've ever seen them in this sort of momentum and constantly pushing this type of content out. I'm so used to waiting a couple of weeks and months for them to be like, hey, we got a tidbit of information for you guys. But now it's just like, Boom. You like this news? Boom. Pump the brakes a bit. Pump the brakes a little bit. We haven't even done our first show yet in MMPR. So let's wait a little bit. Thank you for the question, Abase. Regardless of the leaks, are you still? Oh yeah, I'm still excited to tune in. Absolutely, but again, my excitement level is MMPR right now. I'm just learning so much about Cosmic Fury. It is kind of diluting my excitement for me. Just honestly, the less I know about MMPR, that's probably why I'm so excited for it at this particular point in time. Let's see here. Morgan Hutchinson. What were some sitcoms do you think were very good but were underrated or forgotten? If you can't think of any, what were some of your favorite sitcoms that you think still holds up to this day or shouldn't be revived? Look, Fresh Prince of Bel Air, I think holds up to this day, still pretty good. I didn't think that should have been rebooted or revived, but they decided to go ahead and do that themselves. Um, I haven't seen Family Matters in a minute. I'm curious if Family Matters still holds up. Let me see something here. Pull up classic sitcoms. Night Court, they revived Night Court. Also, I saw that on Peacock the other day. I was like, Night Court, really? Y'all bringing this shit back? Um, God, I think they're bringing Frasier back. I can see Frasier. Frasier's probably one of those series that might have been forgotten for me. Was never a big Frasier guy. I think that was like maybe a little bit too mature for me during my time. Honestly, I would not mind a Seinfeld. I would not mind a return of Seinfeld. I would love to see Seinfeld in his bag now as an older man and that cast back. Give me a Seinfeld revival. I would totally take that. Family Matters. I think I might still hold up to this day. Fuller House, they already did that one. You know what? Give me a revival for Home Improvement. I'd be interested to see Home Improvement. I think Home Improvement may be underrated. I kind of enjoyed that show. I was gonna be a smartass and say Cosby Show, but nah, no, no, we don't need no goddamn Cosby Show. Gilligan's Island would be interesting. That was way before my time, but that would be interesting. They tried to do the Wonder Years already. They did one with Roseanne already. Cheers might be a good one. Cheers might be a good one for a revival. Yeah, that's some interesting ones. Let's see here. Johnny Marrero. Do you hope Simon Bennett will stay with PR because he has done such a great job with Dino Fury? I know he will do a great job with Cosmic Fury. He's probably the best thing Power Rangers needs right now, and I want him to stay. And it'd be a really shame to let him go. What do you think, Adam? Well, listen, I've been a big advocate for Simon Bennett for the longest time. If you guys have been watching me for a while, I've said this countless times. I hope that he's communicating with Hasbro along with Jonathan Entwistle and Jenny Klein as to what's going on behind the scenes. They've gave him so much opportunity to create these 29th season and 30th anniversary that it feels like they have faith in this guy. He's literally helped bring momentum and eyes back to the franchise. He's got people talking about Power Rangers again. He's helped bring Power Ranger fans that have fallen off back to the franchise again. And I think stuff like that should be paid attention to and recognized. And from the moment Hasbro mentioned, "Hey, we're going to be doing, young adult television series, more mature themed television series, films, animated, and kids programming." From the moment he said kids programming, I was like, Simon Bennett should just be in charge of that segment of Power Rangers going forward. be included in the overall bigger plans, but be able to help create for just simply the kids programming side of things. Because I do think that he's doing some amazing work. So yeah, absolutely. Give this man what he certainly deserves. Just give him that recognition at least. And I think the idea of keeping Simon Bennett around, if he wants to stay around after the 30th anniversary, I say definitely do it. I really don't like the main Power Rangers series. I really don't think the main Power Rangers series should won't end because maybe Hasbro's answer to kids' content. Please hear me out, Adam. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for the reboot too, and I want Hasbro to succeed with it. But I don't want Hasbro to just focus um, on PR projects for just adults. I want them to see them focus on more projects for kids and young adults, and main series could be their answer to kids' content with Simon. Plus, if Cosmic Fury does very well on Netflix, they could change their plans a tad bit. I mean, could they change their plans? Absolutely. There is a world that we live in that Hasbro does change their plans, um, and brings, and does that. Um, but I'm not under the. Wait, I'm kind of confused here. You say I really don't think the main Power Rangers series should end because it may be Hasbro's answer to kids' content. Um, I mean, yeah, they're definitely not going to focus on just one project. I think the bigger overall theme is to have an interconnected world, um, beginning with this first PR project that's aimed at young adults. But Hasbro has talked about the idea of doing film, animation, kids programming. So I do believe that there is a world that they will still continue to work on kids programming. It may not be connected to the overall franchise as we know it, but it still can be a kids program, right? Like you can still reboot Power Rangers and give us a young adult Power Ranger series and have that somehow maybe spin off or some sort of lore or history that's established in that series that gets spun off into its own kids programming. And we wind up getting introduced to possibly a new set of Rangers with a new set of powers that come from a completely different new sort of history that the Power Rangers reboot has sort of established. And in other words, you can put Simon Bennett behind that particular brand new kids programming project that's solely set within this PR reboot world. So I think you can achieve both things that you want, Johnny, in regards to Simon be attached to it. He could be attached to Power Rangers main series continuing if that's the direction that Netflix and Hasbro decide on. If they decide to make any changes, right, we can, if they make changes, we could continue down this path of possibly Simon Bennett doing kids programming. But I still think we live in a world where we get the PR reboot and we also get kids programming set in that reboot world where Simon Bennett's still the head and showrunner. So I mean, yeah, I think we could still get both of those, Johnny. Adam Perea, I'm confused. While Beast Morpher season 2 was produced by Hasbro, do you feel the crossover we had still felt like it was greenlit by Saban when he sold all the Power Rangers to them? It still suffered from the usual Neo Saban annoyances, like not having more than 20-minute content, Jason not having a full morph sequence, nor a brief catch up to what he's been up to. On top of that, the crossover itself felt primarily Sentai footage. So I'm not sure if Grid Connection was given by Saban, but with Hasbro promoting everything and spending the money to bring Austin St. John back, the lackluster appearances by MMPR and Dino Thunder's teams felt disrespectful. Though as for Finders Keepers, which was the first part of the crossover, I did like that the Dino Charge Rangers actually interacted with Grid Battle Force team. This felt like the classic traditional team ups we used to have in the original Saban Disney era team ups and close enough to what happened in the team up movie. However, just like Grid Connection, the Dino Charge team were the main focus due to the use of Japanese footage, making the main team be separated by fighting Evox and Robo-Blaze in the new original footage. We did at least have both teams have a full morph sequence, considering both series were filmed in HD a few years apart. Anyways, I'm so grateful that Hasbro is giving us so much for the 30th anniversary on Netflix. So yeah, while it was produced by Hasbro, I believe this story was very much written and done under the Neil Saban era. I believe this was a Chip Lynn story when he wrote Beast Morphers, something that he had like in his desk, I think he said. And when it came time to kind of come up with an idea for like the 28th season, I think this is the script that he pulled out. So while I believe it was produced by Hasbro, or at least the rights were sold by Hasbro, I believe everything that had already come together script wise, and maybe even during that, maybe pre-production and stuff, I believe all that stuff was during the Neil Saban era. So if there's certain aspects that feel like Neil Saban era, it's probably because of that. Probably because of that. And if I'm wrong, you guys can correct me in the comment section box below. But I believe a lot of that is due to because it was kind of Neil Saban era ish. That's why Beast Morphers for me, I kind of don't fully give Hasbro props for that. I kind of just say, Hasbro picked up the rights during that time period, but it still felt very much like Neil Saban-esque with maybe some changes here or there type of thing. And I think that was also maybe during the COVID pandemic. Am I right or am I wrong in that regards? I was trying to remember if maybe that's what kind of also hindered some of the crossover as well. Hopefully that answers some of your confusion, Adam. I'm sorry if it doesn't though. Adrian, what's up, Adrian? How long are we going on? Oh, is this 2 hours only? Okay. Um, Adrian Perez, what do you think of the possibility that if the MMPR special does well on Netflix, it could allow Hasbro to make more specials when it comes to old seasons? I personally think that while it would be cool, I don't think they should, because that sounds like going backwards. Hasbro should focus on the future. That's either with a franchise or the reboot. We know that Super Sentai has been doing anniversary specials almost every year, but they do have an excuse, which is focusing on a new main Sentai series while providing anniversary specials for longtime fans. So maybe down the road we can have an anniversary Netflix specials for old legacy Power Ranger seasons if the reboot itself does well or not. The reboot is still far away, so who knows if the kid programming could be either for the reboot universe itself or for the current franchise, but with all new original footage. The 30th anniversary itself is the first time that Hasbro managed to bring back nearly the entire original cast of Power Rangers, which we all know Saban was very stubborn to do so. So do I think it's a possibility that if MMPR special does well on Netflix, it could allow Hasbro to make more specials when it comes to old seasons? No, because I don't think so, and I'm in agreement with you in that sense, Adrian. That it just feels like it's going backwards to me. Because if their intention truly is to, um, thank you, Dino Knight, for clarifying that for me. Beast Morphers was before COVID. Because look, if you're telling me you have plans on rebooting the franchise, reboot the franchise. You know what I mean? Don't reboot the franchise and then all of a sudden be like, hey, but we got this Netflix special, 20th anniversary, Mystic Force coming back. Yay. No, don't do that. Don't do that. But if they change course and they change plans and they see how the Jonathan Entwistle and Jenny Klein stuff is coming along and they decide, hey, you know what? We're going to go ahead and maybe stick with this franchise being within this universe that's been established all these years. If that's the case, then yes. Then yes, then give it to me. But if Hasbro was set on this reboot thing, then no. Then no, I don't want it. Jackson Peterson, not to be mistaken for Peter Jackson. Do you think the upcoming Transformers Rise of the Beast will be good since it is a sequel to Bumblebee? Considering the writers aren't the same people that did Bumblebee, I'm a little worried that the movie won't have the same writers, but at least the producers, except for one, are returning. What made Bumblebee considered as one of the best live action Transformers installments since the first one was that it didn't suffer from Michael Bay nonsense. Instead, the film gave full focus to both the Autobots and Decepticons and used Haley Steinfeld's character and her friend appropriately. I also really like that the film took inspiration from some of the classic animated series by making robots and scenery look similar and gave bigger emphasis on fun action. To conclude, while I am hesitant about this sequel, I do really hope it's really good and stays true to what people loved about all the Transformers animated series, especially Beast Wars itself. So thank you for that question, Jackson. I appreciate it. Do you think the upcoming Transformers movies will be good since it's a sequel to Bumblebee? I'm not gonna lie, I am a little bit worried of Rise of the Beast. Um, let's see here. So, director Stephen Caple, what has he done in his career? Oh, Stephen, what you been up to, Stephen? Let's see here. Stephen Caple. He's a film director. Credits as a director. Um, I don't know any of these movies, bro. I don't know any of these movies. 2016, The Land. 2017, he directed the music video for Machine Gun Kelly. He directed 2 episodes of Grownish. He directed Creed 2. Which, listen, man, I think Creed 2 was like the weakest of the franchise. I didn't even really care too much for the directorial work, honestly. For Creed 2. I gave Creed 2 a B minus, I think. It was okay. It was okay. But I wasn't anything I was writing home about. So considering that Stephen Caple is the director for Rise of the Beast, we'll see what the direction is like. Who's the writer though? Joby Harold. What you got for us, Joby? Joby Harold. What have you done? As a writer? Credits. Come on, where's his writing credits at, bruh? Okay. So he wrote Awake. He wrote King Arthur, Legend of the Sword. I haven't seen that one, but I heard good things about it. Army of the Dead. He did the screenplay for the Zack Snyder film. Um oh, the story itself though was by Zack Snyder, but he did the screenplay. He also did some of the writing for the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which was pretty good. So it might be solid. And now he's doing Rise of the Beast and screen story for the Flash. I don't know if he's getting full credit for the Flash though. Wouldn't be surprised if it's the Flash and multiple writers. Yeah, Christina Hodson and Joby Harold. So I don't know if he's going to get full credit for all that, but it would be interesting. Look, for me, I am hesitant about Jackson, about Transformers: Rise of the Beast. You know, I thought Travis Knight did such an incredible job with Bumblebee that I really wanted to see him come back for um a second time, a sequel, or at least tackle another Transformers movie. I think he just has a great vision for it. You know, maybe Bumblebee was a smaller film, and so maybe they were worried that, you know, giving him Rise of the Beast might have been maybe a little bit too much. Maybe they wanted something a little bit more cinematic and bombastic. Bumblebee was kind of more of a not, you know, kind of going away from the Michael Bay isms a little bit and kind of getting down into like the character work of things. So I think that's what Bumblebee certainly had for it. And it was just a lot warmer of a film, more heartfelt for sure. Rise of the Beast, I feel like maybe I'm worried that they might be trying to go back to their Michael Bay isms a little bit. And I just don't know if I don't know if they have the strongest director and writer to kind of bring that to life, but we'll see. We'll see. But I am worried about it, Jackson. I am a little bit hesitant about it. Nicole, what's up, Nicole? What do you think of the recent announcement that Avengers 5 may include the Fantastic Four and that the MCU Fantastic Four himself film itself has landed a release date for Valentine's Day of 2025? Could Marvel's first family of superheroes play an important role in the next Avenger films? Perhaps they can even meet Tom Holland's Spider-Man, considering the characters were all very close in the comic book, since Kang the Conqueror himself will play a huge role in Avengers 5. Maybe him being too powerful will lead to the Fantastic family to be called upon. So if a new Fantastic Four movie does really well, both critically and commercially, fans would be eager to see them in the fifth Avengers film. So, um, I'm kind of curious if it'll include all of the Fantastic Four. I haven't heard an announcement, Nicole. If you have a link to the announcement or something like that, please let me know. I haven't read that anywhere that they were going to be in. Let's see. Oh, this is from MovieWeb 4 days ago. Okay, so here you go. MovieWeb 4 days ago. Kang Dynasty writer Jeff Loveless have offered further insight. Um, Speaking with comicbook.com, Loveless described the Fantastic Four, which will be released a few months before, as being its own thing. He says, "No, I think all of that stuff is pretty far away. I know they're making Fantastic Four, but that's its own thing. I mean, look, I'm the biggest X-Men guy in the world. No, I think that's being saved for a bit, but these Avengers are in trouble. They got a lot going on with Kang." So it does sound like he just dismisses the idea that they're going to be in here. Um, so yeah, so Jeff Loveness, the writer of Kang Dynasty, just kind of emphasized the fact that the Fantastic Four is going to be its own thing. And Screen Rant went with that story also. So yeah, so no, I'm not expecting them to be in it. You know, look, while the Fantastic Four may not be in it, I wouldn't mind saying like a Reed Richards popping up in there. The only reason why I say that is, for those of you who don't know, when it comes to Kang, one of Kang's variants is Nathaniel Richards, or I believe it's Nathaniel Richards that begins it, and then Nathaniel Richards becomes um, Kang. Kang's got such a weird freaking timeline, but I believe Nathaniel Richards is what, like, the father of Reed Richards. Yeah, he's the father of Reed Richards. Nathaniel Richards is a fictional time traveling scientist who eventually goes on to become Kang the Conqueror. So there is a connection there between Kang and the Fantastic Four for sure. And considering that his identity is that of Nathaniel Richards, the idea of a Reed Richards popping up in Avengers Kang Dynasty would not surprise me. It does make me curious as to who will then be cast as Reed Richards if his father is Jonathan Majors, Nathaniel Richards. So I do think it'll be an interesting casting choices for Reed Richards for sure. So I think, look, you may not get the Fantastic Four in Avengers Kang Dynasty, but I would not count out Reed Richards. I would not count out Reed Richards at all making a cameo. Stewart, the episode of Dino Thunder Test of Trust, which was the penultimate episode of the series. I really love when the Rangers were dealing with the aftermath for when they found out Anton Mercer was Mesogog. The entire team, including Tommy, was incredibly shocked by the discovery that they were discussing if they should take Trent's morpher away and remove him as a ranger. While the episode was sort of like a clip show, it worked very well because it showed the development of the entire team. Connor being the one who was pissed off that Trent didn't tell them about his secret was the breaking point. Um, both the Rangers, both Tommy and the main three Rangers using two Megazords were really cool. Like Tommy using the Mezzodon Megazord brought back old school MMPR vibes when Tommy himself piloted that white Tiger Zord and red Battle Zord in Zeo. Then seeing the team combine all their Zords in the form of the Tricera Max Megazord was just simply awesome. In the end, I'm so glad that Connor finally forgave Trent for real. I just love that Connor never fully forgave Trent for what he did to the team when he was under the influence of the white Dino Gem, and that Tommy himself, who was in Trent's shoes back in MMPR, always did his best to be the words of wisdom to Connor and convince him to give Trent a chance since he first joined. My question is, how incredible was it that Tommy became the mentor for Dino Thunder team, and this experience from his youth helped him with Connor's hatred for Trent? Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool, man. I did love how they kind of brought that full circle and kind of used the lessons that Tommy learned to kind of help Trent out. Definitely. Um, Ram Jam. With recent reboots of classic sitcoms like Night Court, do you think a TV show like Family Matters should do a reboot? I don't think Family Matters needs one yet. I still think Family Matters holds up. Same reason why I didn't think Fresh Prince of Bel-Air needed a reboot. I think it still holds up. Um, and I don't know if they would they even bring it back as a sitcom. Like if you're gonna revive these shows, bring them back as sitcoms. Don't bring them back as dramas. Um, yeah. So I wouldn't mind other television shows, Ram Jam, but I think Family Matters still holds up. So not yet. Not yet. Would you like to see animated cartoon crossover? Would you like to see animated cartoon crossover movie of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers meets Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and get made? And do you think it would work? Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Like for instance, if Hasbro talks about the idea of doing animation, you got a great comic book to adapt. That TMNT and Power Ranger crossover. They got two crossover events in the comics that they could easily adapt. So yeah, give it to me. I would love to see that adapted into a animated film. Jack Daniels with Detective Pikachu getting a sequel. What do you think of the movie when it came out? And do you see it being a trilogy or two films is enough? I think you could probably squeak out a trilogy of Detective Pikachu, honestly. We'll see how the box office does. If the box office continues to rise from the first one to the second one, I think you can get away with a trilogy for sure. And I was a big fan of it. I really enjoyed Justice Smith. Him opposite of Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu was gold to me. I really liked their chemistry on screen together. Would be wild if we somehow got a small jab at Deadpool. Um, Not sure if you watch any of the Pokemon series growing up. If so, what other Pokemon characters you'd like to see pop up? No, Pokemon was more of my brother's thing. I think I had gotten maybe a little bit too old during that time. I couldn't get on board with Pokemon. I mean, I enjoyed it, but as far as watching it on a regular basis, no, I was just into other things at that time. Adam says, I think Nicole added the link under her question. Oh, did she? I think Nicole has been pretty good about doing that. Oh, she did. Duh, Adam. Thanks for pointing that out to me. Because my dumbass, no, I don't want to leave YouTube. It won't let me open it into another. There we go. Oh, god damn it. Are they really going to make me leave? All right, I'll come back to this shit. Let's see. Avengers 5 gets surprising Fantastic Four update from MCU writer. I don't see it. It says they gave some unexpected information on the Fantastic Four's inclusion in that film. It is set to grace the big screen on Valentine's Day. Things like setting and casting have been closely guarded secrets. So that in mind, it's natural to assume that the team will go on to play a large role in the two Avengers films. Why would they assume that? Like, why would they assume that? Things like setting and casting have all been closely guarded secrets, all while Kevin Feige has stated that Fantastic Four will be a cornerstone of the franchise after their debut. So, with that in mind, it's natural to assume that the team will go on to play a large role in the two Avengers. That's a terrible assumption, bro. That's a terrible assumption. Because he literally just made an ass out of himself in this. Because he literally just right next line, Jeff Loveness says he probably won't be using Fantastic Four in the movie. This may come as a surprise to MCU fans, particularly given that Feige's recent statement said they will become a big pillar of the MCU going forward. Nowhere in that statement that Kevin Feige makes does he say they will be in Avengers movies. What is this direct? Who's the writer of this article, bro? Jennifer McDonough? Like that's what you take away from that from Kevin Feige's words? That because they're gonna be cornerstones that they gotta be in the Avengers movies? What? I did not that never came to mind for me, thinking about it. And that's no disrespect to Nicole's question. I totally get her question. I'm talking about the writer of the article, under the assumption that the Fantastic Four is gonna have a big role in both of these Avenger films. I mean, don't get me wrong, they may pop up and say something like a Secret Wars, right? Because I believe the Fantastic Four movie might come in between both of these. But just because they mentions them being big pillar stones, look, could the Fantastic Four be in these movies? Perhaps. But out of what Kevin Feige said, I never took that under the assumption that mean the Fantastic Four was going to be in both of those movies. When he says cornerstone, I just think if anything, the Fantastic Four movies are going to be extremely important to the MCU, certainly going forward. So, yeah, man, that's just got me a little bit bewildered there. But yeah, no, as of right now, according to Jeff Loveness, the writer of the Avengers films, they are not in this movie. They are literally doing their own thing. But again, I just mentioned I could see like a Reed Richards popping up in there at some particular point in time. Um, let's see here. Who is next? Most talented man alive. Do you think reboots and revivals are getting out of hand lately? Not everything should be revived, a continuation of a story just for nostalgia's sake. It's also crazy that people keep referring revivals as reboots, even though both mean two different things. It is okay to have a sequel if it's been a long time coming, or as long as the script itself is at least, or as long as the script itself is at least original while bringing back old characters. Yes, reboots and revivals are definitely two completely different things. So thank you very much for clarifying that for other people also. Um, do I think that they're getting out of hand lately? um, they might be a little out of hand, but I'm not upset with every reboot or revival that we're getting. Um, I feel like 20 years is a good time to maybe reboot or revive something. 20 years for me feels very generational, if you will, right? Like kind of the start of a new generation. So you might want to like create something that feels a little bit more modern or caught up with the world or the civilization and society that we currently live in to this day. That's why when people like get mad about like, oh, these reboots and revivals are just woke kind of thing, my thing is like, no, they're just society's just changed. Times have just changed. You know, our culture is not the same that it was back in the 60s or 80s or whatever the case may be when some of these movies came out, sort of thing, right? So sometimes you need things for a more modern time period. And if that more modern time period just happens to resemble what our society looks like more these days, that's just how it plays itself out. I try not to focus on that type of stuff. But when it comes to reboots and revivals, I think 20 years is like a good time period before you start rebooting or bringing a revival for anything. Um, and I do think it is warranted sometimes because, like me, I've been waiting to see the MMPR team come back together. And that's what, like 28 something years in the making. I've been waiting for that shit to happen. So I do think that there are definitely moments when a reboot or a revival is certainly warranted. You know, if your cast is in still really good shape, if they're still performing at a top level, and you've got a really good story to show where these characters are at now after all these years, absolutely tell it, because there will be people that will eat that up. There will be a generation of people that grew up with those characters, whatever show it was, that will absolutely love to see that come, see their favorite characters kind of come back and do something like that. Reboots, I just say 20-year rule. If it hasn't been, if it's been done within 20 years, just don't even bother touching it. But after a 20-year mark, you can go ahead and do a reboot of something if you want to. Kurt Moreno, what do you think of the announcement by the Illuminati that Hasbro will be releasing for the first time a Lightning Collection figure of a Wild Force Ranger, starting with the Red Ranger Cole in his Battleizer? The figure itself may or may not have functionalities from the show, but if it were to, it would lead to being one of Hasbro's best figures in the Lightning Collection when it comes to functionality. However, the biggest drawback is that the figure itself won't come with a head sculpt of Cole due to the controversial past of Ricardo Medina Jr. Please don't get into Ricardo's situation. Anyways, would you like more Red Ranger Battleizer figures to be released in the future, as well as a Lightspeed Rescue Blue Grain, who were first two non-Red Rangers to have Battlizers? And what other Red Rangers would you like to see come out after Cole? Have they not had a Wild Force Ranger yet? Is that literal? Is that true? Is Cole the Red Ranger the first Wild Force Ranger that they're releasing, or the first like Battleizer that they're releasing? Because give me Battlizers all day. I mean, I would absolutely love it if they gave more Battlizers. So yes, give me more Red Ranger Battlizers to be released in the future. What other Red Rangers would you like to see come out after Cole? I don't even know which ones they've attempted and which ones they haven't. Have they done Mystic Force yet? Has Mystic Force got a Red Ranger? If not, give me Mystic Force Red. And I can understand the idea of a no face sculpt. So I guess if anything, he'll have all the other pieces and interchangeable parts, just not the civilian sculpted head. That makes sense. That makes sense. But that's trippy. If that is the first Wild Force Ranger that they're releasing on Lightning Collection, like, damn, Hasbro, what's taking you so long? But if it's the first Battleizer, that sounds pretty cool to me, man. That sounds pretty cool to me. Power Rangers Legacy. How much more time do I got? 15 minutes. Let's see how many I can knock out real quick here, so I don't necessarily have to do. I'm gonna go through these quick, guys, so I don't have to do an additional video this week. I remember when seeing Ninja Storm for the first time. Damn, I tried to go through this and I'm immediately choking on myself. Hold on. Y'all got me reading this essays today. Power Rangers Legacy. I remember when Ninja Storm for the first time when I was 8 years old. Everything about the show felt new and refreshing. I was young back then and didn't know Alien Rangers existed at the time. So imagine the surprise when I see a male Yellow Ranger, and not only that, but a female Blue Ranger as well. And the fact that I was the first show with only 3 Rangers, having only 3 main Rangers for the series, first half of the series, then joined by 3 more, was just fantastic. Despite the move to New Zealand so they could produce the show on a lower budget, it didn't really felt like it was low budget at all. Yeah, it really didn't. It almost felt like they actually put more budget towards it, if that makes any sense. There was a lot of original footage, some that was clearly missing from the Neo Saban era seasons. And the best part is they wanted to show lighthearted so they could feel like MMPR for old fans. And it actually worked because the show didn't feel solely like MMPR, but rather it felt like it was Power Rangers in modern day, despite light speed Wild Force taking place in the 21st century. But whatever. This was something that Neo Saban and Beast Morphers failed at. They tried too hard to be like MMPR, which it wasn't nostalgic, but instead dated. Ninja Storm wanted to be MMPR, but still fit in the times. And more importantly, it was his own thing. Instead of being an MMPR clone, I still laugh that Ninja Steel was a ninja series, but didn't really do much with the ninja aspect. Instead, more of a bad imitation of MMPR. Ninja Storm was basically the most perfect soft reboot of the franchise. Yes, Dino Thunder was how you do a legacy season, right? But Ninja Storm was a series as how you did a refresh. What were some of your thoughts on Ninja Storm, and do you agree? No, I agree with a lot of what you're stating there. I was a big fan of it. I was too blown away by the idea of a three-person team to go ahead and kick things off, and I really loved the idea of a male Yellow. I thought the casting for male Yellow too was perfect. I always loved his sense of humor and just his personality. It was a really fun season. I really enjoyed Ninja Storm a lot more than I thought it was going to before I dove into it. But yeah, I would totally agree with a lot of what you said there, Power Ranger Legacy. Roberto, if Heckle does return to Cosmic Fury as the Dark Ranger, do you think his footage as a Ranger will be all original instead of the used footage from a movie or a single episode of the series? I think all original. By not using any Sentai footage from the Dark Ranger, this would make Cosmic Fury stand out even more since we all know the series will be all original except for the Zord battles from Q Ranger. It would be a little bit weird seeing Sentai footage of a new introduced Ranger, even though Simon already told us that being original allows for more creative and awesome fight scenes. Plus, I don't think it would make sense to see Spinozord from Dino Supercharge make a return in Sentai footage unless Hasbro were able to recreate the Zord and all new footage, including the new Dino Charge cockpit. Dino Supercharge season itself, the Zord was never associated with the Dark Energem, only used by Dino Charge Rangers, but I guess it would be cool if the Dark Energem was able to reanimize the Zord from the Ranger archives since it was powerful and dangerous. Now I'm expecting all original footage, Roberto. Gabriel, what do you think of the bombastic Bagman, who's basically Peter Parker Spider-Man with a bag over his head? He was shown in some shots of Across the Spider-Verse trailer. From what I heard, the character himself won't be wearing a Fantastic Four uniform since Across the Spider-Verse is owned by Sony. How fun would it be to see a version of Peter with a bag over his head? And I can already imagine Miles Morales asking him, "Why do you have a bag over your head?" My only knowledge of him was that he was once without his costume, so he wore a bag to hide his identity, which was the first given to him by the Human Torch. Correct me if I'm wrong. No, you're absolutely right in that regards, Gabriel. That's why Peter Parker was using the paper bag in the first place. But yeah, it became sort of iconic in its own right with just the design. I do remember seeing him in the trailer. I don't know if he's going to have a role in it or not, or if we literally just see him on screen, make an appearance, and then walk off screen. Like that might be the amount of time that we see the bombastic Bagman in Across the Spider-Verse. But if he gets more screen time, that'll be fantastic, honestly. So I hope we do see him more. But yeah, Gabriel, you hit it right on the head. That's exactly why he had it. John Schuyler, you know how Beast Morphers had 1 year time jump after the series finale? I think the MMPR special, perhaps it indeed took place after Dino Fury itself. We know Beast Morphers and Dino Fury's finales took place in their own cities instead of the entire country or worldwide. So it's possible that the MMPR team were called upon to become Rangers again, since Grid Connection to defend Angel Grove when Roto Reba emerged, considering the fact that Zato reappeared as the Ghost Ranger at the end of Dino Fury. Perhaps he was sent by the Morphe Masters after being resurrected to recruit Billy right when they sensed that Lord Zed escaped his crystal ball. And that could be a cliffhanger for once and always, right before the moment Zato quickly returned to Dino Henge to alert the other Rangers. That would be pretty cool, like a little seamless way to throw that special in there. As for the synopsis, in the midst of a global crisis, maybe that wasn't the actual plot of the anniversary special, but just a placeholder, since we don't know the actual story until we get the official trailers. Thoughts on all of this? I kind of dig it. I kind of dig it. Considering the fact that Zato reappeared as the Ghost Ranger at the end of Dino Fury, perhaps he was sent by Morphe Masters after being resurrected to recruit Billy right when they sensed that Lord Zed. That's a possibility. But then that would also mean that maybe Zato pops up in Once and Always. I don't necessarily know if that'll happen, but who knows? Never say never, John. I like the idea, man. We'll see if how they do it though. Have you noticed? What's up, Doomsday? Doomsday says, have you noticed that ever since that every Dino themed Sentai season, there was only one female ranger in the main six, from Zoo Ranger to Real Soldier. There were 5 male rangers, but only one female ranger. Yeah, I did notice that in Super Sentai, and I absolutely hate it, man. Absolutely hate it. Like, I don't need my teams to be sausage fest all the time. Like, it's okay to have women on the team, guys. Like, I just don't, I don't get it. Like, I miss the 2 women on a team deal. Um, Hell, I'm waiting for the season when I have 3 females and 2 males. Like, no joke. Like, I want to see them do something different. We don't have to always stand by these tropes, man, and like the same cliche themes all the time. Um, it works, I guess. It definitely works, but God, it's okay to have more females on screen, man. The sausage fest sometimes is a little bit too much, but they've had some great seasons, But there's just no way you can have six members and only one of them be a female. Come on, bro. That's fucked up. That's fucked up in my eyes. But that does it for us, guys. That's all of our live viewer questions, man. All of our live viewer questions today. So thank you for everybody who certainly participated here this week. Able to get through them a little bit easier just because it's just me solo dolo today. Didn't really have too big of bombastic articles to be spending 3 hours to talk about, but almost there. Almost there, to certainly say the least. So thank you everybody for certainly joining us here today. We definitely will be back next weekend for sure. Not sure about what time yet. Probably I'm going to be aiming for 12 or 1 o'clock. We ask Cindy's mom and dad to watch Noah for us while I do my show because she works on the weekends. And sometimes I just don't want to bog down other people with my kid responsibilities. You know what I mean? So there's some weekends I have no problem asking them, hey, can you watch them for like 3 hours while I do my show and I'll come pick them up afterwards. So I don't always want to ask for help or ask somebody to watch my kiddo for me type of thing. So there will be some days until I can find and sit down with the guys and actually talk about like what day kind of works best for everybody or works for us mostly. Then maybe we can come to a more concrete time for A Plus Hero Report. But I'll definitely continue to keep you guys posted. But you can certainly count on us to certainly be back here next weekend for you guys. Faux show. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe. I definitely will go ahead and provide some timestamps for today's episode in here as well. And listen, if you are watching us after the live stream, feel free to support our channel. If you're on Facebook, hit those stars buttons. If you're over on YouTube, feel free to hit that super chat or certainly donate and support to the channel in any way that you can so we can continue to grow our channel and provide better quality content for you guys out there. So thank you very much for certainly joining us. We will be back next weekend. So in the meantime, as always, do me a big favor, guys. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.